Well, hey there, friends. Don't forget, there's still time to enter in the drawing to win show dollars at Seibfest Northwest. Now, instead of paying for ads on Facebook, we thought we'd actually put the money back into the community and give you the opportunity to buy stuff at our convention. Register to attend Seibfest Northwest before April 30th, and you'll be entered into a drawing to win show dollars, which you can spend with any of the toy or artist dealers at the show. Already registered? Guess what? You're already entered into the drawing, so don't even worry about it. Want another opportunity to win? Go to the Seibfest Northwest Facebook page and tag a friend on their post that you want to see at Seibfest Northwest, and you could both win $25 in show dollars. And don't forget, if you pre-register, you can hit the dealer room a full hour before the general public. A full hour. Seibfest Northwest, the Cybertronian Festival, returns to the Pacific Northwest for our 12th annual unofficial Transformers convention by the fans for the fans. Join us at the Kent Commons Community Center on Saturday, July 12th for Seibfest Northwest 2025. More information can be found, including registration for attendees and dealers, at seibfestnw.com. Now, enjoy today's episode.
Decepticons, transform and rise up!
Mike! 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 So many Mike! So many Mike! So many Mike! So many Mike!
Well, hey, guess what, friends? It is time for another thrilling episode of Two Mikes, Two Furious Animated Transformers. This is a podcast where we discuss Transformers Animated one episode at a time from two different points of view. My name is Mike Seibert. I am your first-time watcher. I've never watched Transformers Animated before this project, but I am not fumbling around in the dark by myself, unguided. Joining me, as always, he's the serial rewatcher. He's the Spark Soul brother. He's the pizza papa who always gets paid. The Bohemian tragedy. It's my friend, author Michael Andrews.
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
It's going great. I'm wondering if I'm glad that we're in season 3, the final season of Transformers Animated, for no other reason that I feel if the podcast were to continue, the first 40 minutes of the show, instead of like unremarkable grab ass, it's just going to be the ever increasing titles of Michael Andrews. We should call an episode The Titles of Michael Andrews, where it's like, you know, he's like the Thriller in Manila, the Ayatollah of Rockarola. You know?
Yeah, they just keep going, and you just keep going through them, and you can't see, but I'm over here like, you know, like Eminem in 8 Mile, just like in the mirror, my hoodie's up, like getting ready to go out there. Oh, it's great. I love it.
Oh, I'm sweaty. Mom spaghetti.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
I would love to go to a restaurant called Mom Spaghetti.
Yes, yeah. Maybe they could serve it in like a Ziploc bag too. Get a little "It's Always Sunny" reference in there.
Yeah,
as well.
there you go. That's what
we need. But yeah, I've been doing well here, Mike. It's a frictionless, ice-covered day in Minnesota. Like you can't step outside without slipping. So I've just been staying in all weekend, having a very Transformers heavy weekend. I've been playing the Transformers trading card game that I love so much. But yeah, and I've been playing the Transformers Earth Wars mobile game. They have an event going on this weekend. In the background, I put on some old G1 with some captions, you know, while I play. So it's been a lot of fun.
Wow, that's quite a lot. No live action movies for you within there?
No, because summer's approaching, so that's like my big rewatch for the live action movies to capture that summer blockbuster popcorn movie vibe. So just holding off just a little bit longer for the weather to get a little nicer.
Got it. It's off season. It's not the season yet. I can understand that. You know, it's interesting. Like I've been watching a few social media accounts lately, and folks, I don't know if it's a seasonal thing, but I've been seeing a lot of younger fans dipping into G1. and it's been interesting to see people's reaction and like posting GIFs and little video clips, like, you know, folks being astounded by that time that Soundwave runs through a volleyball net, you know, throwing his arms being all wacky. Somebody else posted a video of that. I keep forgetting which episode it is, but it's the one where one of the rare episodes where Frenzy is in the episode, and it's like Skywarp and Thundercracker are working with Frenzy and Rumble on some kind of project, and Skywarp is just teasing poor Frenzy. He's like, "That's geek work. You're a geek, and that's geek work." Or so. 40 years later, I still don't understand what that means. I don't know if in the mid '80s, geek was a pejorative for like weirdo or something like that. I guess the implication is that Frenzy's a weirdo, but in that, one of the more infamous GIFs or clips is where Rumble just straight up like spider monkeys on top of Skywarp's face, not unlike an alien face hugger.
Awesome.
That kind of thing. So it's been interesting to see young people kind of like, you know, experiencing that as well. G1 is truly the gift that keeps on giving. And it's just so fun and kind of rewarding to see people of all ages having fun with it.
Yeah. And I'm certainly not a young person, but it's been a long time since I revisited it. And, you know, I always in my head, I think just because of APDC covering it and just not having watched it in a while, in my head, I sort of think of like the animation as shitty. And when I think about the writing, I think it's very like A for apple, B for boy, like really basic kind of Dr. Seuss-y almost. But then I go back and watch it, and the writing's actually pretty solid. Like a lot of the dialogue's very clever, and the artwork, I mean, just in this world where nothing's really like hand drawn and hand painted anymore, like it's so beautiful. The episodes I was watching yesterday, I was like, the landscape, the rocks, the sky, the cell shading, like it's really quite beautiful. Mm-hmm. I think when you're trying to pick stuff apart, when you're doing a podcast about animation or about the show, you know, granularly, it's easy to just be like, oh, this is a shitty drawn scene, this is a well drawn scene, like this is but it's all kind of beautiful when you sort of squint at it, you know.
It's a lot of fun, you know, and it's funny, you know, as we're nearing the end of TFA, and, you know, obviously the question on everyone's mind is what we're going to do next. And the answer to that is more complicated. Like I think we've talked about in other previous episodes that the one thing we're not going to do is jump right into another series. Like, you know, we're not going to do Prime. We're not going to do Beast Machines, you know, any of that stuff. But I was thinking, completely unrelated to this, I was having a shower thought the other day of like, I would almost like to revisit season 1 of G1, not season 2, because that's 52 episodes and a goddamn slog. There's some right bangers in there, like, you know, Golden Lagoon and maybe another episode. But like there is something magical about season 1, like those first like 13 episodes where, you know, you get like weird inconsistencies, like the Autobots can fly, and, you know, just from like More Than Meets the Eye Part 1 to Heavy Metal War. That's some really foundational stuff. Maybe because I had some of the videotapes when I was a kid. So like I got to like experience some of those over and over and over. Like I've probably seen, you know, Divide and Conquer as many times as I've seen Transformers the movie, that kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, there's a, I don't know, I'm trying to avoid terms like quaint, but like I remember like a conversation with John a handful of episodes ago where, you know, I said some kind of dismissive comment about G1, and to my surprise, he kind of took exception to that. You know, that like I didn't, because like, I don't know, you spend too much time on Twitter and it's fashionable to hate on G1. Like yes, I've seen people having like, you know, open warfare and just getting into like these Twitter flame wars. And the thing that is still fascinating to me about Transformers is that it does have so many entry points. And I guess the thing for, I don't know, for our fans to discuss, because Transformers Animated does have so much undertones of G1 coding without being a redux of G1. It's like it threads the needle so perfectly and deftly in a way that me as a first time watcher never would have dreamed of. And wouldn't have accepted first run. But now I'm just like, oh my God, it's like you have to respect the material to homage the material. You know, all of this stuff we've long litigated. But like I've seen in some of these Twitter flame wars where there's a notion that if you don't like G1, you can't like Transformers. And and I find myself challenged in trying to figure out how I feel about that, because I do feel that like with every new iteration, there's an opportunity for a new audience, but I can't divorce my experience from the discourse because I was there. You know, it's like I'm G1 from day one. So I don't know a world where my first intro to Transformers is through Transformers Animated or through the live action movies or that kind of thing. So like when younger people say like, well, I don't have to like G1, and folks who look like me say, well, if you don't like G1, then you can't like Transformers because those are the characters. That's the foundational concept. You can't say you're a fan of Optimus Prime and not like G1, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's
which is categorically false, of course, but
right.
But I mean, yeah, I guess I get it.
So I don't know where I was going with that, but I was just on the flip side of it, I just thought it was fascinating to see folks really enjoying the more wacky elements of G1.
Yes, G1 is cool again, is the takeaway, right?
I think so. And you know what? That discourse aside, I think is it a TFA style reclaiming? I mean, like, you know, post the 40th anniversary, like with all the attention put on G1, are younger fans saying like, you know what, I'll give this a go. Holy shit, this is fun as fuck. You know, it's wacky, it's zany. Because like, again, like that's why I keep calling to season 1 in particular, because there's some zany ass stuff that happens, especially in More Than Meets the Eye part 1 through 3. Like in that pilot, they jam a lot of just aggressively unserious stuff in there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it does lend it. I'm reminded of something that Ryan Jett said when we had Autopod Decepticast on, was just like how, you know, as they're watching Beast Wars, a lot of those flubs and goofs and slapstick moments are just so unforgivable in Beast Wars. But it's such a breath of fresh air for them to cover something like Transformers Animated with us, because it's the goofiness and wackiness is built in. It's like you want it. You're waiting for it.
Yeah.
I feel like G1's probably got the same kind of thing. A lot, you know, we can get away with some of those stretchy, googly eyes and stretchy limbs and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, and let's not forget that, you know, one of the surprise iconic moments in Transformers the movie is that with Sludge and Devastator, and it's like, you know, he does like the two-handed pounding William Shatner-esque punch pounding down on Sludge, and then like the googly eyes.
Auga, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think you can have a brief moment like that in an otherwise earnest and occasionally dour movie like Transformers the movie, and it still works. Like, you know, let cartoons be cartoons. And I think that's one of my takeaways from this journey here on Transformers Animated. It's like I am thoroughly enjoying just how much of a slapstick cartoon it really is. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And tying it back to just talking about next projects and next ideas, the goal of this project was to get you to see Transformers Animated. It wasn't to, you know, always be talking to each other about something in the Transformers world. It was specifically so you see this show and we can chat about it. So I think we've done that. We've reached our peak. You
could almost say that we've accomplished something.
You could almost. I'm not going to, but you could almost.
Oh my goodness! So we, you know, that opening preamble aside, we have got a jam-packed episode today because, like, we're the main course obviously is we're going to talk about Decepticon Air, but I also kind of wanted to revisit in continuity the Christmas episode, Human Air parts 1 and 2 respectively, because our previous episode was Predacons Rising, which was season 3, episode 7. So next up in viewing order, and I hope that you're watching the episodes along with us. So hopefully the audience has had the same revisiting exercise that I have. I watched Human Air part 1 and part 2, so season 3 episodes 8 and 9 respectively, and I briefly, he says,
I'm not gonna hold my breath, literally.
If you do, you might die.
Yeah.
You need to breathe to live. But no, there was a couple things I wanted to touch on, because now that we've seen it in continuity, I wanted to kind of loop back around to. First of all, kudos to you, Michael Andrews, for having us do that at Christmas time, because I think that makes it so much more impactful than doing it in order now. Like, doing a Christmas episode in April doesn't. Yeah, it's.
I have no Christmas spirit right now. I can tell you that much.
Yes, but also though, it is on a island by itself. And even revisiting the episode coming off of Predacons Rising, I was still kind of startled by how weirdly out of place it is. Like this episode, like the Christmas episode, doesn't belong anywhere. The only thing it really accomplishes, I think, and this will dovetail into our discussion on Decepticon Air, is it does highlight the return of Sorry Sumdak. And I can say now that we're back in sequence that, like, I didn't know that when we see Sorry in Human Air, that's the first time we've seen her since Transwarped. Like, she's been gone the entirety of like this middle chunk of season 3. And obviously I didn't know that when we watched it the first time around, but now watching it back in sequence, that's weird. That's really strange, especially with as much as is set up out of Transwarped. And I was put off a little bit, because, like, obviously watching it out of order as a glimpse of the future and stuff, I just thought that was status quo. That, like, teenage Sorry has been running around with the Autobots this entire time, and there's nothing remarkable about her reappearance here. But that's not the case at all. Like, but the show kind of treats it the way I'm viewing it. Is like, yeah, sure. Sorry shows back up. She seems to be unburdened from any of the angst from Transwarp. She's just content to be a teenager now. And there's also like elements missing, like no knife hands, no laser skates, no energon hammer. All of that stuff is just gone. The only thing that she has is like the battle mask that she has in like one scene. Like
right. And sort of superfluously.
Yes. In fact, so much so to where, like, her quote unquote, gear up scene or transformation sequence is just a rehash of her magical girl transformation, like including with like the height change and all that. And it's like, I was in a different mind space when I watched that the first time through, but like watching it this time, I'm just like, that's weird. Like, you don't need it. It's just very odd, but I do like that sets up her return so that she's already a player on the board when we see her in Decepticon Air. I think that's the entire purpose of it here in this chronological viewing. I do like, though, that the jetpack makes the same sounds as her other mods and upgrades. The dee-doo-doo-doo.
Sure.
It's one of my favorite sound design things. I don't know what it is about that sound effect, but I just really like it. It just it's very appealing to me. We also see the return of Isaac Sumdak, obviously. Again, haven't seen him since Transwarped. And the thing that I wasn't prepared for is that this is the only time we've seen Porter C. Powell. Is episode 8 of season 3. Yeah. And that's nuts to me.
Right.
We obviously returned to the Burger Bot. I'm sorry, where the Burger Bot. And I feel like that had we done the episodes in order, we would have spent way more time talking about the Burger Bot than we already did. But yeah, it was like, I'm just like, I just had a different notion on it. I'm like, the Burger Bot. It's like, and yeah, the camera lingers on your boy Marty Eisenberg and his buddies for like a while. They go to them twice and it lingers both times. I thought that was kind of interesting. Our first time through watching, we didn't talk about the Decepticons intentionally that showed up in the Matrix not flashback, but like basically as they're represented in the Matrix. And it's viewing it now after Predacons Rising and after Transwarped, it's even more absurd. Like I was coming off of it after like A Bridge Too Close Part 2, where Megatron and Starscream are seemingly like off in space in the endless void. But now it's even more absurd because Starscream is a disembodied head stuck on Omega Supreme with Megatron. Shockwave is on the run. And so seeing like this battalion of Decepticons being led by Starscream is absurd and bizarre. And when Megatron shows up and he's like, oh yeah, I'm like the undisputed leader of Cybertron, that part isn't as absurd in terms of like a nightmare sequence, because it's almost happening like where we are in continuity. Like, you know, the Autobots are in disarray. Ultra Magnus is on spark support. And so that part of it is kind of like hauntingly real. So I kind of got that wrong, where I'm just like, you know, I even said something to the effect of like, well, Optimus it's seeing Megatron asserting himself as ruler of Cybertron. That's where it's like, well, this isn't right. Right. You know, that doesn't make any sense. But
well, that's interesting because it's almost like the way you saw it the first time is how they intended the Autobots to be seeing it, right? Like it was supposed to be jarring. That was supposed to be the first red flag that something was up. But now you seeing it in context of the story, you're like, oh, that could fit. That could make sense. It's almost like they should have done something more absurd, to red flag them.
Yeah. Also, all of note, no Starscream clones. It's just Starscream Prime. So no Ramjet, no Sunstorm, none of those other knuckleheads. You do get to see briefly in like the bottom right-hand corner, the group of Strika, Oil Slick, and Spidor. So it was cool seeing those folks briefly and knowing who they are this time. Right. But it made me more sore because I'm like, no, I want to see them like do stuff though, because I haven't seen them since Transwarped, and they're cool characters.
Yeah. As if they didn't do enough during that, right?
Yeah, well, fair enough.
Just a little more, please, sir.
Yes. Oh, well, that's the thing about having a delicious, succulent Chinese meal. You want more. You're still hungry.
If I could break into there quick, it's interesting. I kind of wonder why they chose those characters they did to have that little appearance, that little transwarped kind of reunion. But I was thinking about it too, because as I was looking up Transwarped research, each of the different characters, or a lot of the different characters in that big cameo scene, had their own animators, right? Like someone was like specifically working on Cyclonus. So I wonder if maybe those cameos that showed up in the holiday episode were a product of the animator that worked on those for Transwarped was also working on this episode, and maybe that's how it came about. But I wonder if if there's a script somewhere that says I want these three characters appearing right now.
Yeah, because there could have been characters included that weren't, like Cyclonus, like you said. You know,
right, yeah.
Just for example there. I also think it's interesting that in The Matrix, that's the only time we've seen Shockwave's weapon. Like, again, it looks very much like Megatron's fusion cannon still, even now. Sure. I still hang on to that observation because we haven't actually seen Shockwave shoot anybody yet.
Or perhaps he's wondering why someone would shoot a man before throwing him out of a plane.
So it's interesting with that. Also, the troubling implication that Mixmaster and Dirt Boss are super dead, because like,
right.
Well, because that's the last time we see Scrapper And that's so he's by himself on Dinobot Island. Obviously, I know now how he got there, and it gives a little bit of a clue as to how much time has passed between the Dirt Boss episode and the Christmas episode. But still, it's like the fact that he is separated from those guys and you don't see them and there's a catastrophic explosion, you could easily extrapolate that those guys are super dead. And that's...
Right.
I don't know if upsetting is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, we didn't hate him that much. Right?
Exactly. Also, so I talked about sorry a lot, but the whole refrain of when everyone is under hypnosis, whether they're Autobots or humans, the whole the techno-organic must be destroyed zombie trance thing, that's the first time we're really dealing with sorry as a techno-organic organism, a cyborg, that we're really reconciling with that. And again, kind of odd that it's 6 episodes after that that's revealed and transwarped. It kind of takes on an even more upsetting undertone there. Also, I got 2 more, and then we can move on. I mentioned this at the time, but I will double and triple down going back for more. I'm even more upset by Bumblebee being such a little shit about teasing Prowl about processor over matter. Because I had said at the time where I think at the time for my viewing, he had about a 50-50 success rate. But this, in context, in continuity, is after 5 servos of doom, where Prowl has mastered it to the point where he can bring down an entire stadium, and like Magneto, just like, Rey Skywalker, could control the rubble. And granted, Bumblebee wasn't there for that to witness that, but this time around, it gave me the shits even more so than the first time, because I thought it was just Bumblebee being an asshole teasing him. But now, knowing that he has mastery over that technique, I'm just like, I kind of don't like that. But and really what it says, it's like, to me, overanalyzing, it's like, where does this fit? Where's this supposed to fit? Is this where it's supposed to go? Because 5 servos of doom also kind of has that, well, where does this need to fit? Where does this actually go type of thing. Some of these season 3 episodes are kind of like Lego blocks. They're kind of strangely interchangeable in that they don't have as much forward thrust of the plot as in previous seasons. Now, I think, and this episode, kind of the same in a lot of way when we eventually talk about Decepticon Air. These season 3 episodes feel more like vignettes. Like, it's like almost like you had speculated, Michael Andrews, that somebody knows that this is the last season. It's like, these are the stories we have to tell while we still can. And I think a consequence of that is that you kind of get episodes that kind of feel like vignettes, which is fine. In fact, I would almost want to go back to our early episodes. I probably said something to the effect of how surprised I was by how serialized animated actually is. Because, we were extensively talking about G1 earlier, and those, first 13 episodes of season 1, there is 0 continuity. And in fact, the continuity that's there is contradictory. The pilot episode does not make sense when you go to the next episode. Like season 4 is like transport to oblivion or something like that. And it's like, we're trying to figure out how to get Energon cubes to shockwave on Cybertron or something like that. It's just like, again, it's a power plant of the week, scheme of the week type of thing. But anyway, so I was kind of taken by how serialized season 1 and season 2 actually are. And then that pendulum kind of swings the other direction when it's, I guess I would call it serialized adjacent here in season 3. Cause there is an A plot, but it's so undertones that you can swap the order of these episodes. And I feel like I could watch them a little more a la carte. And so Michael Andrews, being the serial rewatcher, let me ask you this, because you had mentioned before, because season 3 hit physical media so much later than the other two. Like, you were on a steady diet of season 1 and season 2, and you hadn't watched season 3 as much because it wasn't as available right away. When you do your serial rewatching, like, do you cherry pick episodes, or do you just like binge it? Like, I don't know if I've asked you specifically about your serial rewatching habits.
No, I am a serial rewatcher in the truest form. Like, I start it and binge it and beginning to end it. I don't cherry pick episodes. I think I've mentioned that I do cherry pick that Halloween episode. I do like to watch that on Halloween. That's about as close as I get to just picking one out. But no, pretty much with all media, all TV shows, that's why it's such a big commitment to me to watch something. It's like, nope, I got to start at the beginning. I'm excited about episodes that, like, in the middle and in later seasons, but I got to start it all over. Just a weird thing I do.
I gotcha. That makes sense. But so transitioning into something I wanted to talk about before we got into the episode proper discussion. And I sometimes, not unlike Megatron floating through space, sometimes things just fall right into place. And this piece of art I'm going to share has connections to the Christmas episode, because there's a location that's referred to, and there are characters that show up in Decepticon Air who also make appearances. I would like to spend a couple minutes talking about a comic book I got recently. I got myself a copy of The Toy Maker and the Bots. Now, this is a comic book that was made in tribute to the late, great Derek J. Wyatt. It is written by Marty Eisenberg himself, and this project has been spearheaded by Transformers animated superfan Kian Carlisle. He edited the book, and it's basically kind of like his brainchild. He brought in, he has a terrific relationship with Marty, as well as a variety of fan artists that helped bring this to life. This was available at TFCon LA. Most recently, you can still get digital copies. The physical copies are long gone. After TFCon, Kian put up a post saying, like, "Hey man, I've got 30 copies left," and I was grateful that I had the speedy fingers and was able to snag one, because they sold out almost instantly.
Yeah, smart move.
Absolutely. And but anyway, so sorry that it is available digitally through Kian Carlisle's sources. I think he's using Kofi, coffee or whatever to do that. He's also got his other comic, The Return of the Headmaster. No, I'm sorry. It's called The Headmaster Levels Up.
Yes.
And it's interesting, because I want to talk about this comic briefly. I'm not going to spoil it in its entirety, but like, I haven't read The Headmaster Levels Up, because at the time that it came out, we were still in season 2, and it fits in continuity, quote unquote, sometime in season 3, kind of like what we're talking about now. And like, some of these episodes are kind of interchangeable, but it features Jetfire and Jetstorm heavily, and I hadn't met them yet. So I'm like, right. I can't look, and it has post upgrade Sorry as well. So it's presumably after Transwarped, after we meet Jetfire and Jetstorm. I'm like, I cannot, and I still haven't, because like, I don't.
Well, now when you do, you'll actually hear Jetfire and Jetstorm's voices instead of just reading it on the page. That's their voice is such a treat, right? I mean, you must know what it is.
Exactly. So anyway, as I said, this is a tribute comic to Derek, and basically what the story is it's about the proprietor of Wyatt's Toys. Obviously, that in itself is a in canon homage to Derek already, and I believe even the character design of the titular toy maker is a design that was already done. Like I saw a picture of Derek holding like a custom painted like Mighty Mugs of the toy maker. So I don't remember if we've seen him in other episodes or not, But anyway, this is like a character that kind of exists in the context of Transformers Animated. But basically, what it is the toy maker he's kind of like the mirror universe shattered glass version of Al's Toy Barn from Toy Story 2.
Okay.
What if that character was kind and sweet and wholesome? And that's who the toy maker is, the proprietor of Wyatt's Toys. But basically what happens is he's making toys, and one day an episode of Transformers Animated happens, and he is inspired by the heroics of the Autobots, and that changes his collecting and toy making habits. And there is a minor spoiler for the end of the series in here, but it's, I'm at the spot now where like I can still see imagery without context and not have it fully spoiled. Like, I know what Optimus looks like in the last episode. I mean, it's like, unfortunately, you can't hide that anymore.
Right.
But I don't know the story. I don't know the context. I don't know anything. So that will still be part of my first time watching experience. But it's barely a footnote in the toy maker story, in that he encounters Cosmos, who is on the cover here, so that's not a spoiler, a character that we see briefly in Decepticon Air. And there's also spoilers for this comic, but it's on topic for us. There's an encounter with Swindle. And what I wasn't expecting, so like this comic is very much a tribute to Derek J. Wyatt, his kindness and sweetness and innovation, and I didn't make it halfway through the comic before I started crying. Like it is.
Oh, wow.
Marty writes it with such tender care. Like just even like his word choice is very sweet and gentle and tender. Just it's very lovingly written, and it's a very lovely project. But what I wasn't expecting is that there's a tribute to Fred Willard as well, in addition to it being a tribute to Derek. And apparently Swindle was one of Derek's favorite characters as well. Like from what I understand from Kean Carlisle's posts, his two favorite characters were Cosmos and Swindle. So I'm not going to spoil the end of the comic. But anyway, it's one of the things that Kean had said is that this story, this comic, gives Derek agency over his passing in a way that he didn't in his life. And that's heart-wrenching and heartbreaking in its own kind of way. But like there's man, Michael Andrews, I don't want to spoil it for you, and I don't want to read it, because if I start reading it, I will start to cry. Because
yes, please. I don't spoil it. I want to read this.
Yeah. But one of the things I will say to entice you is that the show happens within this comic, and I'll kind of leave it there, where I'm like, I know what that is, that kind of thing.
Cool.
So it was very rewarding for me as a new fan of Transformers Animated to experience this in this way through this context. I'll put a note in the show notes, and obviously, share it on the Two Mike social pages as well. But again, it is available for digital purpose. Physical copies are long gone, but also there is a script reading available as well, where Kean gets folks like David Kay and Corey Burton and some other folks as well. And I think, actually, I should have this in front of me instead of going off the cuff here, but I believe David Kay is the narrator. So basically you would have David Kay reading Marty Eisenberg's words, that kind of thing.
Oh, cool.
So to entice people towards that, definitely check that out. But Michael Andrews, I wanted to read the, I showed off the front cover. I also want to call attention to the back cover, which has a, character design for Cosmos's Earth mode. Again, spoilers, Cosmos shows up in this story, and he does have an Earth mode that is delightful. It's
Awesome.
it's kind of a really fun take on classic Cosmos. But like Michael Andrews, get your tissues ready because I'm gonna read.
Okay.
I'm gonna read what Marty Eisenberg wrote on the back cover.
Okay.
He writes, "This was a tribute that needed some time and perspective before I could get it out. I think, like Animated itself, which always had the specter of genocide and the horrors of war lurking in the backstory, it was important to keep it light and fun. It was important to me to focus on the things that Derek loved that made Derek, Derek, and give him and all of us by extension the happy ending he deserved." Marty Eisenberg.
Ooh,
so anyway, that is The Toy Maker and the Bots. Again, I will have all kinds of links in the show notes. Please check it out. Like I said, even if you are taking the first time watcher journey with me, still give it a go. And it does not basically, like, the ending is a footnote, so it's not a spoiler. That kind of thing. It's like it's kind of what happens after. Like the mildly spoiler thing happens like in like the first third of the comic, and then it's a whole other thing. But like it is just like it. My heart was so warm when we like visit episodes. Like it's very much like a Back to the Future 2 type of thing. So it has kind of that sort of sideways storytelling where it's like, again, like I said, the show happens within the context of this comic. But anyway, I've already said too much. I've said too much.
I set it up.
But
yeah,
like,
I know you're getting into. Is this what it feels like to be you when you know, or like me knowing the episode and you not?
Yes. Well, and being equally evangelical about it, because like I said, I had seen folks engaging with this during TFCon, and I saw a lot of panels and things, but I was to sit down and read it. Like I said, it was like I had to like, hold the comic away so that the tears didn't splash on the pages, that kind of thing. But it's very sweet. It's very lovely. Please check it out. The Toy Maker and the Bots. Shall we talk about an episode?
Yeah, I think we should.
As I dab my damp cheeks here,
and as I put Getke and Carlisle's Rolodex on my list of things to do, yeah, we should start.
Yeah. All right. So with that, we are now discussing Decepticon Air, which is season 3, episode 10. Episode 10, Michael Andrews. Like, this is the end is nigh. Like,
yeah,
man. So obviously this one airing on May 2nd, 2009. So we're not that far off schedule wise. We somehow our recording and release schedule almost kind of dovetails with the air date, which is kind of fascinating. But this one is obviously written by Michael Ryan, and this is his last episode of Transformers.
Yeah, that's a wrap on Michael Ryan. Should we have the round of applause like when the actor finishes filming on their last day for Michael Ryan?
Yeah, that's a wrap on Michael Ryan.
Yeah, as he salutes the crowd.
But this guy, this Michael Ryan is probably my number 2 guy next to Marty Eisenberg in terms of like the voice of Transformers animated, in terms of like, foundational stories. So again, we'll go through it again. Home is where the spark is, which, spoiler alert for like the end of whatever this looks like. And we start talking about, I don't know what else can come along to knock Home is where the spark is from my favorite episode spot. Like, it is, as the kids continue to say, lives rent free in my head. I think about that episode a lot because I feel like, much like the bonsai tree that's growing in Prowl's room in Autobot HQ, I feel like everything is just connected to that foundational episode, like a Tree of Life type of thing. Foundational stuff. But anyway, you got Home is where the spark is, Headmaster, the return of the Headmaster, again. So Headmaster, like the Terminator. No, it's just Headmaster. Then it's the return of the Headmaster.
Right.
Just being pedantic. The iconic Auto Boot Camp. And he was part of the Triptych, the Elite Trine, along with Marty Eisenberg and Marsha Griffin for Transwarped. And now to close out his run for Decepticon Air.
Yeah, what a roller coaster, right? Kicking things off with this ultimate episode, the kind of bittersweet giving us the Headmaster, and then Auto Boot Camp, which, I mean, Marty Eisenberg from his mouth, I mean, that's a favorite of his, right? Like, that's one he even told you, like, he can't wait for you to see. He didn't say one of his episodes that he personally wrote. He picked Auto Boot Camp. Yep. And then, Transwarp Trilogy, my gosh, what a banger, right? Like, that's the one everyone wants to talk about. He gave us that. And then Decepticon Air, the one we're talking about today. A lot of fun. We've gone through his kind of IMDb pages in other episodes that we've talked about. But one that caught my eye this time going through, he also did something called Scooby-Doo WrestleMania Mystery in 2014, which stars John Cena and several other WWE stars from that. So I don't know exactly when this episode is going out, but I assume it's sometime around WrestleMania, which is going to be Easter Sunday, Saturday and Easter Sunday. But yeah, that might be something we should rewatch before that. Scooby-Doo WrestleMania Mystery. This
episode will go out on the 25th of April. So when is Easter?
The 20th.
It'll be, so this will be the Friday after.
Yes. Okay. So if you're missing WrestleMania, if you're sad WrestleMania over and needs more, you can check out Michael Ryan's WrestleMania Mystery.
I might have to check that out because, again, like we joke about our podcast being a Star Wars adjacent podcast, but it also has like a whispered tones undertone of WWE fandom as well. It's just like deep under the surface. It's like it's near the planet core, but it is there. It is there.
Yeah, and I watched the trailer and it looked a lot of fun. And for you specifically, Mike, there does seem to be a cocaine bear is the main villain of that show. The monster is sort of a cocaine bear, a la Earthspark as well.
Yeah, a bear did cocaine. Well, that's amazing. That's funny because like that's an episode of Earthspark that apparently quote unquote nobody likes, but it's actually like one of my favorites.
It's quite fun.
So and gearing up for this episode, and we'll go back to the Michael Andrews preview haiku, a pre-coup, if you will, a preview of our next episode, Ichabod Drift's favorite segment that you'll hear at the end of this episode. But when we closed out our episode, it was, usually the preview haikus are a little more
artistic, poetic.
Yes. This one was like, Mike, it's Con Air. It's fucking Con Air. No more of this fumbling around. I didn't know that it was Face Off. Yet it's like you were looking to avoid that. So in the spirit of that, I had the opportunity to watch Con Air this week. In fact, actually, this last week was like I don't know where I found all of this time. Maybe that's why I'm drinking so much coffee this morning. But like I managed to watch the Christmas two-parter, Human Air Part 1 and 2. I watched Con Air, and I watched Decepticon Air, the episode I got to watch that twice, sandwiched in between viewings of Con Air, just to make sure that I'm kind of like, kind of really in that headspace. So I'm perhaps disproportionately in that headspace, but Michael Andrews, I texted you. I was like, holy shit, I got to watch Con Air. Man, that movie still honks.
Right. Yeah. I rewatched it too. And that was kind of, I didn't even think of that at the time. I mean, but you watching it reminded me to watch it. And it was really cool having actually seen the movie that this episode's based on just prior to recording this.
Yeah. And, it's one of those, it's kind of a relic of the 90s in like, they don't make action movies anymore. Like there are like action set pieces where stuff just blows up just for the sake of blowing up, and it's all real and it's all sound stages. There's like squibs and profanity, and it's like it was there was a grit and realism Like, you see like the grain in the film, that kind of thing. It's a real damn movie.
Yeah, there was some big explosions and car crashes and stuff where I was like, how much did this cost? Like,
right.
The I don't know if wasteful is the right word, but I was just like, how are they so much destruction happening? There's nothing left of that movie. If you want a prop or a set piece or something, there's nothing. It all blew up. They set it on fire or blew it up. It's all gone.
There is just nothing left. The budget, get this now. Granted, this is in 1997 dollars, so gird your loins a little bit. $75 million.
Oh wow!
And you see every single red cent there on the screen. Like again, it leaves it all out on the field. Went on to earn $224 million at the box office. A monster hit. But like at a time where you have some colorless, flavorless goop like The Electric State on Netflix that cost $320 million. This is what you could do for 75. What you could do for less than 100. Now, granted, again, 30 years ago, but still, like, I'm going to throttle back on legislation called "What is even a movie anymore?" Question mark, exclamation point, and terabang styley. But like, it was jarring to watch Con Air and see like, this is what the movies used to be. Is it the most complex? No, of course not. But man, it is fun as fuck. And everybody is in this movie. And, specifically for Maddie B, specifically for Michael Andrews over here, I think Con Air is probably ground zero for like the rogues gallery of like, everybody's got cartoon names. Like you got a Billy Bedlam and a Charlie 23 and Garland Green and Cyrus the Virus and all that other stuff. Yeah. And they have like a Suicide Squad-esque like thing where you see like their mugshot and stuff. So so there's some connective tissue to Transformers there, because I feel like every time you see something like that, whether it's in Suicide Squad or The Last Night or whatever, it all comes from this.
Yeah, and it's a Jerry Bruckheimer production. We know Bruckheimer, worked with Michael Bay, so there's a lot of connective tissue there. Yeah, it spiritually it feels like a Michael Bay type of Bayhem type movie.
So much so to where folks incorrectly attribute this as a Michael Bay movie and forget that Simon West was the director and not Michael Bay himself, because it does have that same sensibility.
Honestly, I was waiting to see Michael Bay's name at this when the movie started. I was like, "Oh my gosh, is this a Michael Bay movie?" And then I saw it and I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll still watch, I guess." But yeah. I had that moment as well.
But man, what a stacked ass cast. It's
oh my gosh, I know.
Yeah, I mean, and you have it is that guy colon the movie. It's like you have like a clean shaven Danny Trejo in there, obviously, and like seeing Steve Buscemi relatively young, kind of upsetting. It's like, oh, he's a weird, upsetting looking fella. Good Lord.
Right, and of course John Malkovich is in it. If you're making the connection to Dark of the Moon, so if you want a little Transformers connection, seeing Ving Rhames as a bad guy was tough. That one hurt.
Yeah, well, and you want to talk about like there was one scene that like I don't know why we're doing a whole damn podcast about Con Air, but I almost texted you and I'm like, you know what? I know we have to talk about a Transformers episode, but like I kind of want to just do a whole damn podcast about Con Air and talking about like why it's the Trisha Yearwood version of that song and not like the Leanne Rimes version, because that threw me the hell out the movie, and I'm like and like now I want to watch Coyote Ugly again because it has to do with like songwriters and it's like the Leanne Rimes story and all that other stuff. But with Ving Rhames though, one of these movies where you kind of find yourself rooting for the bad guys, and I found myself like so Ving Rhames is like a black militant, that kind of thing, and like there's a scene where they're dragging the plane out of the sand. They've crashed, and like they have like all these guards that they've captured. They're hostages, and these are mostly white guys. And anyways, there's the scene where the hostages are pulling the plane out, and Ving Rhames is actually like whipping these white guys. And I couldn't say it was fucking righteous. It was actually kind of I'm like no, Mike, that's not okay. But like it was like a weirdly righteous moment for that character, being, who he is and having that moment with those characters. It's just like, wait a second, am I rooting for the bad guys? No, that's terrible. But anyway, like, I mean, so I going into Decepticon Air here, because like I said, I watched the episode after Predacons Rising. Oh yeah. And I rewatched Predacons Rising also, just so that I could kind of get in the mindset of like, where we're at in continuity. I did this 4-episode run. I watched Predacons Rising, the 2 Christmas episodes, and then Decepticon Air. Wow. Then I watched the movie. Then I watched Decepticon Air again. And
damn, you smoked the whole pack.
I did myself an accidental disservice, because having all of that crystal packed into my brain, I was hoping for a little more Con Air imagery. And there, aside from the conceit and the fact that these are colorful villains, not a lot of similarity there, unfortunately, other than just like the basic concept and obviously the title. But still, what a fun ass romp that was.
Yeah, I noticed that too, right? Like conceptually, it is Con Air, but I'm trying to pick out who was who and match them to characters in the movie. Didn't really pan out as much. Well, we can get into that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But
sure.
I do think this is an example of an episode that was like, even though maybe it didn't drive the plot forward as heavily. I mean, there's a lot of plot elements to it. Sentinel needing to get back and all this stuff, and kind of the more JURIS-My-DICTION score that I'm going to give at the end. But I just think it was just such like a juicy episode. Like someone was like, "Oh, this would be such a great idea. We have a real Con Air moment here," which we're about 10, 12 years actually out from when Con Air came out to when this episode came out, which is kind of surprising to think of. But I still think it was enough in the zeitgeist that someone was like, oh, we have to do this. This is just someone having fun being like, we need to do a Con Air episode.
Well, and the title is right there. I mean, like, I'm like John Cena. It's like, well, they're Decepticons. It's in their name. But yeah, having Decepticon Air, that is too juicy and too clever to pass up.
Yeah.
Like, kudos to whoever mentioned that on the vision board there.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder how long that was thought of, or like, did someone come up with that before anything? Like that name floated around, and then they're like, we have to build an episode, because this ship full of Decepticons has been building for a long time. It's been the basic thread premise plot of season 3 so far, is gathering up these Decepticons, and it's a big payoff from that little, it's mentioned in almost every episode, and now we're seeing it pay off.
Yeah, for sure. It's almost like they had a title and then worked around it. It's right. Like, how can we hang narrative flesh on this title skeleton here? That kind of thing. So we start on Earth. And again, we're the Predacons have risen. Christmas has happened. So
there's a lot of rising in this show. Predacons, Constructicons, Megatron, all the Trons are doing a lot of rising here.
Well, and spoilers for later, there is an instance of rising that I stood up and cheered for. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
We'll get there. Because, so fucking righteous. Anyway, we're on Earth. There's still snow on the ground, which is why I mentioned that. Because Christmas has happened, but we're still kind of in the season type of thing. Not unlike where Michael Andrews is at. It's like it was snowy, but it's also like sunny and 70 degrees outside. It's a clear, crystal clear day, sun high in the sky, but snow still on the ground.
There's a sheer layer of ice over everything. They don't really play that up, but we know it's there.
How did you categorize that earlier before we started recording? Frictionless?
Frictionless, yeah. It really felt like it was such a crawl out my door to let my dog out this morning. It was scary. It was like the laws of physics have changed here in Minnesota.
So in Detroit, we catch up with Isaac Sumdac and Bulkhead, this space bridge project that they started back when they the Dirt Boss Conjuring, the idea of putting a space bridge nexus on the roof of Sumdac Tower is now complete.
I want to commend you both on building this space bridge in record time.
But it doesn't quite work right. Apparently the calculations are off. And this, I don't know, man, like I one of the things that in these latter discussions, I've mentioned this several times at this point, it's almost a bingo punch card, but it's not a good look for Isaac Sumdac that he thinks he's king shit of fuck mountain. Like, he has now become the Elon Musk character. This isn't even his technology. And yet he feels like he's the master of it. Whereas Bulkhead, actual space bridge genius, who I don't think is being an asshole about it, not making it his entire personality, but he's had enough of this this grumbling legislation.
We wouldn't have to recalibrate if someone could accept the fact that his calculations for the transwarp field sequencers are wrong.
Yeah, and it's really like sad because Sumdac's biggest accomplishment is like bringing Megatron back. Like, I think once you do that, you don't open your mouth during the discussions about science anymore, right? Like, let the Autobots do their thing, let Bulkhead do his thing. You don't get to talk anymore. You brought a maniacal terrorist back online.
Right. And you can help and do that as your penance. It's like, trying to like do good to make up for the bad that he's put into the world. But Isaac Sumdac is so fucking arrogant that I don't think he even mentions it. He's like, oh, well, much like he did with the Constructicons. He's like, oh, well, Bulkhead, you're worse than working for Megatron. It's like, still, even now, all of these episodes later, he has no further perspective than he did earlier when he's playing games with Bulkhead, and like he still doesn't take Bulkhead seriously. It's aggravating at this point.
Yeah. Agreed. But yeah, so they're kind of arguing over this project as they're putting the finishing touches on it. Sari wants to help, and we're 3 seasons deep into like everyone thinking Sari's incapable of doing anything, right? Like, take it out of her hands. And ironically, she puts it into her hands. Her fingies split apart, they go super wonky, and she's able to hack and bring the space bridge online.
And to come back to that also, there's even a perspective of like, well, yeah, sorry, I know you're a superpowered teenager now. I know you're like an actual murder machine who once killed her best friend and all that other stuff, and all of the other things. But you know what? You can't help without your key. You're useless without your key.
Even if you had it, you don't have a background in astrophysics and quantum electrodynamics.
And it's just like, what are we doing? See, episode 10 of season 3. And again, like we start off on a weird footing because like, Optimus is being congratulatory and friendly. Like, he's being genuine when he's telling both Sumdac and Bulkhead, great job. Now we can get stuff going, and we can join the A plot that is happening in every episode other than ones that we're featured in. We want to get in on some of that main story action. But yeah, this weird continued infantilizing of Sari Sumdac is odd. But I also think, though, that this is a terrific, empowering move for her, because she's just like, whatever, I'm just going to do it. In fact, she's like Ozymandias from Watchmen, where she's just like, I did it a half hour ago while you assholes were bickering.
Right.
Yeah. And she just does it.
Yeah, it's awesome. I actually really like that scene. The whole time there's this ubiquitous arguing going on in the background, and she just handles it.
And like you had said with the fingers, we had litigated some of this during Transwarped, but like the thing where like her cyborg robot fingers split out, that's straight out of Ghost in the Shell. That's very much an anime trope.
Yeah.
And as I said before, not to belabor the point, for my viewing, I'm glad I watched the Christmas episode before this, because that would have been maybe a little too jarring for me if I go from Predacons Rising to Sari Sumdac and her robot fingers. Like, it kind of softens that a little bit, because that's the other thing about Sari's characterization in Human Error is that it is softer. Like the corners are sanded off. Like in Transwarped, she's kind of an edgy character. And now this version seems to be kind of like it feels like they're still kind of trying to reconcile with what is this character now that we've had her origins, but also the fact now that she's a teenager.
Right.
So yeah, there's a few things going on, and I don't know if they entirely thread the needle.
Sure. All right, I'll agree to that. But either way, we get fingies splitting apart, and I get to say fingies, so it's the best day of my life.
Meanwhile, out in space, we catch up with our friends, the Elite Guard, and this is kind of interesting because like Sentinel is more or less he's got them they're not in their cells, right? They're just kind of like outside, like they're in stasis cuffs, like on their knees with these metal clamps on.
Yeah, they're just sort of sitting around like they're waiting for a concert to start or something, actually.
Yeah. It's like, kind of like you have to sit through the opening act that you don't really want to see, but you kind of want to stake your claim and make sure you got a good spot so you don't miss out on the headliner, that type of thing. But I do really like this gag here where the again, just be cars, but like I love that the metal clamps on Lugnut's face is basically like a car alarm, like he literally like shoots the thing to open it, and this is Lugnut stands have been starving. They have been crawling through the desert, eating the sand because they're so hungry for Lugnut content. And I feel like this episode finally delivers because like this is a terrific Lugnut episode. Like, and
for sure. He gets to spoilers for what's ahead, but he gets to sort of assume the Megatron role that he's probably always deliciously wanted.
And it's I love this exchange between he and Sentinel because Sentinel is more or less trying to get the Decepticons to give up the location of Megatron, and Lugnut says this bone-chilling thing that kind of sort of comes to nothing. He says,
Megatron cannot be stopped. Megatron is everywhere.
Yeah.
Now, so Michael Andrews, how did you take that when you heard that? Like what
goosebumps.
So I thought about it. It's because a second viewing thing, but I thought about it literally. What is Megatron currently doing? He's stuck on Omega Supreme, transwarping randomly throughout the galaxy.
Yeah.
Megatron is everywhere.
That's good. That's a nice little play on words. But it also makes me wonder if, Megatron has sort of spun this to his advantage, right? Like he's let his cronies know, like, I'm everywhere. I'm actually like, hopping around the galaxy so I can, take every pinpoint, see everything at once. I wonder if he's put some sort of like, this is all part of the plan spin on it.
Yeah, as is his want. I mean,
right.
This is animated Megatron we're dealing with here. Also, keeping in mind that the plans set forth with, Shockwave being the traitor spy bot and like the siege on the Space Bridge Nexus and all this, the plan is in motion. And just because Shockwave's cover has been blown does not mean that the plan is unsuccessful. I'd imagine still, even now, that there are pockets of Decepticon insurgency still happening all over the galaxy. Like the Autobots have done nothing to quell that.
Right.
So that the siege of Cybertron is still probably happening. And so Megatron is everywhere. And, when he, gets on like the subspace comms in Transwarp and it's like, yeah, basically, rise up, that kind of thing. It's like, this is our time. So we're still in that time.
Yeah, in fact, that's what this whole tableau is about, is Sentinel's kind of marching up and down these lines. He's clearly like the bad cop, bad guard in Con Air, the gag him and bag him guy, right? So he's trying to get info about these other Decepticon cells, the teams that attack the space bridges, like Strika's team, for example. So I guess, and to make clear, they're in space. They're on the Steelhaven. They're in space. They're en route back to Cybertron. We have Ramjet, Sunstorm, Swindle, Blitzwing, and Lugnut all kind of sitting around him. And he's going through, the whole shtick and trying to sort of like scare tactics them into revealing, information about these attacks and who who's still out there and where are they and where's the next one going to happen, that sort of thing.
And so then Sentinel goes back to the bridge, has a conversation with Jazz, who lets him know, bring Progresso, phone is ringing. And there is a message from the Autobot High Command.
Big wigs from the home turf on the horn for you.
I love this bizarre screen setup where it's like, it's like big screen, but then also like smaller circular screens. Like Cliffjumper is like in a circle by himself on a different, like in a post-COVID Zoom culture normalized type of thing. I'm just trying to figure out how this works. Like did Perceptor set up a Zoom and then just like cast Cliffjumper to a different screen and moved out on over here?
They did the Tony Stark flick and they kind of moved him over to the other screen.
Yeah. But we do start with Perceptor, who is again voiced by a computer. And I know we spent a whole lot of Transwarp Part 2 litigating the ethics and use of plain talk, a computer generated proto AI type. Actually, there's no intelligence to it. It's literally it's like a text to speech type of thing.
Right.
But I wasn't bothered by it as much this time. And I think the reason is, and I had softly pushed this across the table, because it's so sparing and it's so sparse and it's so very little. Now, I could still, on the other hand, say like, Paul Eiding is right over there. He's probably recording some lines for Metal Gear Solid in the next studio over. You could probably go grab him and do a quick voice. But like, if this is what the execution of No Emotions Perceptor is here in Transformers Animated, I would have been far more open to the idea, as opposed to not hiring a living iconic voice actor and instead doing the computer for a gimmick. It made me and our entire panel upset, because the computer is giving whole swaths of exposition and explanation. Like computer has a meaty role in that sequence. This, he kind of doesn't. He just kind of like is like he hosts the meeting, and that's about it. I think like even Alpha Trion and Cliffjumper have more lines than Perceptor does. So it doesn't bother me as much.
Greetings, Sentinel Prime.
How about you?
Maybe they got the memo of that, or thought about that, or just took a note on that. I don't have the energy to get into talking about computers taking jobs from people again. Right. See episode 2 of the
episode.
Yeah. But I still don't think they did it for like to save money or to put someone out of a job. I think it was just to sort of use this technology, and they wanted a very unique sounding voice. And it does make sense when Perceptor, the idea that he's sort of like just this cold calculating computer. I really don't think they were trying to take anyone's jobs, but yeah, in hindsight, it's like they did though.
I mean, it would be one thing if it was a Chris Latta situation where it's like, the dude's literally not with us anymore, that kind of thing. But anyway, again, asked and answered. We're gonna leave it there. But
yes, let's forge ahead.
But basically, what the thrust of this Zoom call is that the Autobot High Council has made the decision to share with the public that Ultra Magnus is incapacitated. And you think about this, so like, there's a couple different bits of taffy to tug on here, because like, one, the Autobots are the government. They are the ruling class. They are very much in control. And think about that refracted through whatever country you're in. Obviously, we're here in the I was trying to find a euphemism for the United States, but like, I'm trying to be deferential. Like there you go. I was gonna say like a flaming dumpster fire, but I couldn't quite wordsmith that quickly enough. But like, imagine if the leader of your country is incapacitated and it's made public. What does that even mean? It's like, how do you begin to reconcile with that? And that is a very real space that the Autobots are in now. It's like, who knows what kind of like speaking arrangements the Magnus has, or it's like, how many like elementary school appearances that he has set up. It's like, what is, aside from military strategy, just being like the figurehead, the face of the Autobot government. What does this actually mean? So I get that the Autobot High Council has to do something. It's fascinating, Michael Anders. Obviously we're going to talk about the characterization of Sentinel Prime quite a lot. And in the previous episode, we had posited that it was kind of like Sentinel's last gasp at youth, like, his last spring break before or summer vacation before going off to college, or like, going back to his hometown to help on his family's farm, or, help his dad at his failing auto shop or something like that. Basically accepting adult responsibility. Like it was kind of like the last gasp of that. And less in that episode and more in this episode, we're back to out of the box Sentinel Prime, in that this guy just wants power and recognition. And coming off of his upsetting attitude towards Black Arachnia, like I still think about that, and like I get upset. It's like, you should be dead. I wish you died. It's like you were kind of my girlfriend, but now I wish you had died instead. I'm just getting upset thinking about that. But like his attitude here is to pull rank. He's like, dude, I am the right hand of the Magnus. And what that means is that I am in charge. You listen to me. And that's scary. Like, I mean, could you imagine what it would be like if freaking Guyliner couch humper JD Vance was just like, I am in charge now? Because it's kind of that same energy, because that dude's kind of like a more military guy like Sentinel is. And it's again, much like this entire run of episodes, too real for my taste.
Yeah. Well, I mean, right. Both can be true. Like Sentinel started as, scared to go back, timid to go back, hesitant, and then that thing that happened with Black Arachnia steeled him to this thing. And not only did it steel him to want to go back and be a leader, but it was like, there are real problems, there are real things that I disagree with, organics for one. And that now I want to go back, and now where I was scared to go back and rule, now I want to be the sole ruler. That change is actually scarily true in people. I've seen it in people. You see it in people that go from, I don't know if I want to do this, to suddenly they're giving a speech on something that, a day before they weren't even that into. It's that sort of like debate club thing where you're given a topic you have to talk about, and suddenly you're so passionate about it, at least for that hour and a half that you're at the convention.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but regardless, Alpha Trion is not having it. He's just like, dude,
your taking control is especially premature, since Ultra Magnus is still online.
Granted, he's on Spark support, but how about you dial it back? How about you throttle it back? Don't count all your chickens before they hatch.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But
I think that also steals him. I think that pisses him off, right? Any hesitancy, he's been talked into accepting this role, and now they don't want him. Like, I think that's just very upsetting to him.
Yeah. And the whiplash, and that's a very real human thing. Like, let's say you get yourself ready for a job or a promotion that you might not be ready for. And suddenly it's like, oh, well, all of that emotional wear and tear, all that extra mileage that you put on your relationships. Psych, turns out we aren't even asking, that kind of thing.
I think the bad outweighs the good in Sentinel in these moments. But I do see his side of it. They are giving him a very real human reason for him making these choices.
Yeah, I agree. But regardless, he immediately lashes out at presumably his bestest buddy. I mean, he and Jazz don't have the best relationship, but if Sentinel is the right hand of the Magnus, it probably stands to say that Jazz is probably the left. That I feel like there's almost equal prominence there. Yeah. Jazz might be one notch down in rank, but he's elite guard also, and he's cyber ninja. So it's like, I found it really upsetting the way Sentinel treats Jazz in this situation, because he's like, oh man, well, you.
And the next time you fail to address me as sir or commander, you will find yourself in the brig with the Decepticons. Is that clear?
And he's just lashing out. Like he's upset, but I also don't care for the implication that he will treat somebody of equal standing that way as well. It's one thing for him to treat Optimus like this. It's another thing entirely for him to treat Jazz like this.
Yeah, well, I think he has a huge chip on his shoulder from Jazz, because Jazz has that extra skill of being a cyber ninja from him. They're both equal rank. They're both sitting in the same spot, but he has to compensate in some way for this ability that he doesn't have. And I think he also has a problem with the Cyber Ninja Corps. We've seen in that episode where he's specifically, he's irreverent to Yokitron, and it's just kind of BS to him, the whole Cyber Ninja thing. And I think a lot of that comes from, his job requires him, his role, keeping his job requires him to downplay the importance of the Cyber Ninja Corps.
Yeah. Sentinel Prime is prejudiced against a group of folks? No. I'm going to lay down.
How could this be?
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
God. And because, obviously there is no bust of Sentinel Prime in the Cyber Ninja Corps Hall of Heroes. And this bickering and this frustration continues because Sentinel is just pushing Jazz around and saying like, hey man, we need to get there now. You need to fly the ship as hard and as fast as possible. And Jazz, like, it's on the view screen. He like points at this like nebula thing, and he's like, dude, we can't like fly through that. Like that kind of thing. And he's like, fuck it, just go through it anyway. I don't care. He's a real dickhead to Jazz.
Yeah, it's almost like every Star Trek episode ever. This just did the opposite. It's just like, nope, go into it. Shut up. Stop scanning comms, just go right through.
Incidentally, I should have mentioned this like an hour ago, but the Star Trek Transformers Con Air Venn diagram, Chief O'Brien himself, Cole Meany, is the DEA agent in there, and it's great to see that guy, because like Chief O'Brien is such like a go along to get along affable dude. To see him be like a right prick to John Cusack all the time, pretty righteous.
Yeah, I think that range was probably important for him to show that he could do it. But for me, it was hard to watch. I was like, oh, I want my little science officer guy.
You little sweet Irish guy.
Come back. Aren't you worried about Keiko?
Right. What about Keiko? That's a t-shirt. Right?
Yeah.
But regardless, so Jazz full throttle, pushes through this storm, and there's like this weird like electromagnetic interference. This really cool like purple lightning crackles through the ship, and Swindle's the only one who's like awakened by this, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Awake, and no one else needs to be woken up in the same way. This is like a jump start to Swindle, who's been offline this whole time.
And I gotta say, and maybe it's through the lens of reading the Toymaker and the Bots comic and seeing Swindle show up and having that beautiful tribute to Fred Willard in there. But like I took what is probably a disproportionate amount of joy in seeing Swindle being brought back online. Like, the lightning crackles, and you see like the POV of inside Swindle's Jeep mode, and it's electricity crackling, but like this moment that I don't think was meant to be as important or resonant or as sweet, but like when Swindle comes back online, he immediately starts doing donuts, and like it just kind of made my heart swell a little bit, because it's a joyous thing. Like Swindle is like happy to be back, And, because, and it has like an extra bittersweet tang to it because Fred Willard isn't with us anymore. But like just seeing the joy of Swindle sparking back to life and just driving around in a circle for a few measures before transforming back into robot mode. I just took like a lopsided amount of reverence to me that just really kind of made me smile this time around.
I needed that. Ooh, my. What a golden opportunity.
Sure. What they didn't show was the corpses of the Society of Ultimate Villainy still rotting within the this mode. Luckily, they left that part out. That's just the imagination. But
they got hauled off to jail. Come on.
No, they're still locked in.
Where are the human supervillains, by the way? My milk carton campaign has not been successful, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But also, though, I mean, since we're kind of talking about that, obviously we don't get an explanation other than Swindle was in the impound lot. But let's not forget where that episode, the SUV Society of Ultimate Villainy, ended. Captain Fanzone says it's like, oh man, they're going to take this guy and just strip him down for parts. And that Swindle is still alive. And it's like, I remember really upsetting you and Maddie B with that observation. It's like, oh God, I didn't even think about that. Right. Probably because you guys had seen this episode and know that he did not get stripped
down for parts. That's correct.
So I think retroactively Fanzone was just kind of like making ghoulish, grisly threats. Because it comes to nothing here, and we're all better for it because, Swindle is back, baby.
Yeah, and this is actually, kind of retracting what I said earlier. This is one spot where Con Air and Decepticon Air cross over because Swindle is the John Malkovich, the Cyrus the Virus character for this, and that's a great role for him, right? The sort of psychotic warmongering, but clinically brilliant mind that can take care of all this and also playing his own game and has this all planned out. That really fit that role. Swindle is perfectly Cyrus the Virus.
So he goes to the Decepticons and, so he does the Choop Choop thing and, Choop Choop's his, restraint off of Lugnut's face. And of course, Lugnut immediately making demands. It's like, release us and doing all this.
Remove these stasis cuffs at once.
And shrewdly, Swindle's like, let's talk about compensation first.
You get freedom, but what do I get?
Right.
And I love Lugnut's response to this because he's like, the glory of serving Megatron. But to his credit, Swindle's like,
Megatron, why didn't you say so?
I feel like Swindle has enough of a good working relationship that he knows his word is bond and that he's good for it in a way that I don't think G1 Megatron operates on this level. I think that we know that Megatron is all about workers' rights and is pro worker, but also that he pays his debts. He pays his bills in the way that other Megatrons probably wouldn't. They would probably find a way to squelch or squirm out of trying to betray Swindle. But I think for some reason there's something about this Megatron that tells me it's no, this guy pays his bills and he makes sure that his partners are well compensated and taken care of.
Yeah. Well, the big thing here is that Swindle is, he's afraid of losing his number one customer, right? This could be a big hit to his wallet. So there is a little bit of integrity of maybe he has worked with Megatron, he knows Megatron, but it's also the money's talk here.
The old warmonger's my number one customer,
especially during wartime.
Yeah.
Swindle very much the Benicio del Toro character. He's DJ here, and it's whoops, I would still like to see a side story where he's also selling weapons to Autobots. I almost want to see him do some kind of back alley deal with Cliff Jumper or Alpha Trion or Ironhide or Perceptor.
Or has a contract with Ultra Magnus even or something.
Something like that. where it's just like something, just like a blink and you miss it type of thing. Where even like maybe in like boot camp or something like that, you know, where you see Lockdown peeling off his Elite Guard sticker in disgust, you also in the background camera pans over and all you see is the glowing purple eyes as he's accepting cash and exchanging a crate of weapons to Ultra Magnus or whatever. Because that's
fantastic.
I love it.
I can see it. I mean, I don't know, Mandela effect. I feel like later on I'm going to believe that's an actual episode of this show. There's something that we saw. But yeah, speaking of, he's got weapons for everybody in his little torso drawer there. He pops it open, the junk drawer there, and has a weapon for everyone. You get a weapon and you get a weapon.
Well, and he remembers what everybody's. He's like a weapons sommelier. He's like David Harbour in that A Working Man movie with Jason Statham. I have a reference to that later. I will bring up when it happens. But I didn't know there's a Venn diagram of Jason Statham movies and Transformers anime, but you're going to hear about it soon. But anyway, like he knows that Seekers need blasters and that Blitzwing needs cannons and that Lugnut needs poke ammo and things like that. But yeah, like this whole sequence is a lot of fun because, like, I don't know, it just underscores how much Swindle pays attention. Like he knows what everybody's deal is.
Yeah, I think that line that he says that Warmonger is my number one customer when talking about Megatron does a lot of work here because it sets up like a reason for him to help, but it also sets up a reason why he's got weapons for everybody, right? Like if he was the original supplier of all their weapons, of course he's got more of them. Of course he knows what each of them take. He's already done this contract. So he knows exactly what to grab.
Exactly. So regardless, now we're kind of intersecting with Con Air again because now the prisoners are armed. And so they stormed the bridge and Jetfire and Jetstorm are taken out with, this gumball gun.
That weird like purple bubble they're stuck in.
Yeah.
The Sonic Jammer 3000. Don't leave Cybertron without it. But wait! There's more. It also has a stasis suspension ray, handy for those tight spots.
And then everybody else is just getting rocked. Like, it is just like a full force. And I want to mention it here just so that I don't lose the thread later, because I feel like we're going to get into other bits of legislation. I recently saw the brand new Jason Statham flick, A Working Man, in which Jason Statham is a mild-mannered construction worker who, is like a retired special forces guy who goes on a quest of vengeance to retrieve a kidnapped young lady. Human traffickers beware! ! Jason Statham is a working man. I bring this up because the villains are the Russian mob, and I shit you not, Michael Andrews, I wish I had a screenshot here to share with you, but with the Russian mob, anybody who's read the Hawkeye comics or watched the Hawkeye show on Disney Plus, Russian mobsters are usually presented as cartoonish, often flamboyantly dressed, and obviously with goofy Borat-esque vocal presentations. I cannot make this up. Michael Andrews, are you ready? I swear I am not joking. There are two characters that are brothers, and they are wearing matching tracksuits, and one is orange and the other one is blue.
Come on.
And they refer to each other as brother often.
Wow.
Man. They are Jetfire and Jetstorm. I'm not saying that Jason Statham or director David Ayer are fans of Transformers Animated, but that's a lawsuit. Like, you can't have Eastern European sounding folks that are brothers in matching tracksuits where one is orange and the other one is blue.
Yeah. Exactly. Wow, that's incredible. I really want to go down the rabbit hole of what the DNA is between those people and Transformers Animated. There's got to be. Where did they see that? Like that it embedded into their subconscious that it came out later in this movie.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
So anyway, like I didn't think of any other place to put that. So there you go. Now,
no, that's good. Yeah. We'll get started on the tracksuit lawsuit. That's what we'll call it. We'll sue somebody for this. Don't worry, Mike. We'll get justice.
I love it. Well, I don't want justice. I want vengeance.
Actually, this is a good point to bring up too. Recently, Alpha Magnus tagged us in little comments. He always took Jetfire and Jetstorm as Hans and Franz, the SNL characters from back in the day.
I'm Hans. And I'm Franz. And we want to pump you up.
Yeah, I can see that too. That was a good call. I like how we all kind of have different, like we can't quite place what they're mimicking here, but we all have a little like some pop culture memory that triggers them.
Yeah.
And for me, mine's Borat. I want to believe that these guys are Borat jokes.
Absolutely.
This is how I sleep at night. Okay.
So during this siege on the bridge of the Autobot ship, if we were playing APDC Autopod Decepticast rules, they have a segment of their show called The Iconic Moment, where the ghost of the iconic moment manifests and
which I invented, by the way. Thank you very much.
Yes. Yes. Way to be Alpha Magnus about it. Yes. We know Alpha Magnus gave us the idea to use the P-Lander Z So Many Mike song. We know. But anyway, so the iconic moment for this has to be this. I've seen this GIF for years before we even started talking about Transformers Animated, where Sentinel is hunched over a computer furiously typing. Like, I've seen that GIF be so ubiquitous. And when I saw it, I'm like, oh shit, that's from this episode? Wow. Where Sentinel is trying to get out a distress call, and you would think that he's going to radio Cybertron for help. Nope. He sends a text message to his, using air quotes on a podcast, his best good buddy Optimus.
Yeah. I think I also have air quotes written in my notes here too for that. Before we get too far off that scene, we also need to mention that the gadget Swindle is using came from the Quintessons. I hope this plays into your score later, but he says the Quintessons
give you a good deal and all the oil you can drink.
I thought that was a great line there. So the back on Earth, Optimus.
I would have liked. Sorry, let me.
Oh, please, yes.
I would have liked though, because that's a terrific line. Thanks for calling it back. But like, I would have loved, because like Swindle, Fred Willard is so good about like these over the shoulder, just like throwaway things, like, nice folks, the Vok, or like, Quintessons, that kind of thing. But I would have loved where he said something like, Quintessons, they always have like all the best oil and stuff like it. A little judgy for my taste. That'd have been kind of fun.
That'd have been awesome. Yes.
Some kind of reference to the Quintessons really being into judgment. All the legislation with the Quintessons.
Yeah, that's perfect. Oh man, I really like going back to this Earth scene. I guess Optimus is sort of aligned with Larkin, John Cusack's character at this point, receiving the transmission from Sentinel. I guess the closest the closest Con Air moment from this is like this message, this secret code that comes through is sort of like Dave Chappelle's body landing on that car in the city. Like, this is how they get the message out. But either way, that's a ridiculous scene, by the way. There's no way that body was intact when it landed.
Poor Pinball. And it's just boy. I don't know. And again, you forget Dave Chappelle is in that movie. And I agree that's one of the parts that doesn't quite hold up. Like, the special effects doesn't look good. The Dave Chappelle dead puppet does not look good. Like, it's got like a frightening set of choppers on him. Like those dead puppet teeth, not a great representation. But
right, because our audience skews younger, and I don't expect them to go back and actually watch this movie. This body was supposed to fall out of a plane and land on a car and stayed intact. And in the movie, it looked like, I don't know, it looked like it got thrown out of the window of the car in front of them almost. It was just this little bloop.
It says find the accountant. I mean, oh no, never mind.
Right.
Yeah, another different movie.
Not Penny's boat was written on his chest. But yeah, so anyway, I love this code part, actually. I love little code and messages like stuff, and I love the sound of the timbre of Sentinel's voice here.
Broken lance. Repeat. Broken lance.
he knows who to call when he's in trouble, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he can bicker with Optimus in front of everyone's optics as much as he wants, but when at the end of the day, when he's in trouble, he's got to call Optimus. And I love the idea that they had this little code, Broken Lance, left over from the Academy days. And Optimus says it's something he uses when he's about to get caught doing something he shouldn't.
Yeah.
Love that. And it isn't even played that funny. Like Optimus is sort of like, oh shit, this code actually, this is important. When this happens, like something's actually up. I really liked that moment. I also like Broken Lance. That's cool. Like I want that to be my new nickname. That's like a really sweet little move there. And a reference to his weapon, of course.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I used to dance under the name Broken Lance. It's like, Broken Lance, that's my Tinder profile.
Yeah, there you go.
that kind of thing. Broken Lance, title of my sex tape. God. All right. I think I got all those out of my system.
Are you good? All right.
And I also like that the evocation is not all that dissimilar to Broken Arrow. John Woo, ladies and gentlemen, from 1996, year before Con Air, by the way. But like just keeping the spheres of the globes, the circles of the John Woo Autopod Decepticast 2 Mikes 2 Furious Venn diagram, nice and purple. Couldn't get out of here with the John Woo reference, but again, Broken Lance, very very similar to the Call of Broken Arrow in that, like, we've lost control of the nuclear arsenal, that kind of thing. So Broken Lance has that same evocation to it. And I also love that, as you said, Michael Anders, the seriousness that Optimus takes it. But I also like this little bit of world building in when Optimus says that,
Sentinel only used it when he was about to get caught doing something he shouldn't.
That tells me that this is not the first instance, that like this is something that's happened previously. And I can't help but think of like the teenage misadventures of Sentinel and Optimus and Elita 1. I like the trio of them, kind of being like, Dennis the Menace's little friends, just like getting into mischief and shenanigans, that kind of thing. So it was kind of neat to kind of have that little piece of lore there.
Yeah, it did a lot of work. Like it backfilled a lot of storytelling just in that little line.
Yeah, it's one line. I mean,
right.
And yet it sparks off minutes of discussion with us there.
It's the Rosebud of Transformers Animated. Broken Lance.
So within this, the Decepticons have essentially taken over the ship. And Lugnut is just like, let's kill these fuckers. He's I don't know. Is Lugnut kind of like a Billy Bedlam situation here? Like who's the guy who wants to kill all the cops in Con Air? I don't know.
I think it's that people kind of switch roles in this a little bit. Yeah, they all kind of embody one of the convicts at one point. But this for sure at this moment was the Billy Bedlam.
So Lugnut wants to kill the Autobots, but Swindle, and I like this line. We just talked about one line of dialogue that has so much weight to it. How about this from Swindle, where he says,
"Now let's not be hasty. You know how hard it is to get decent Elite Guard spare parts these days?
Like they're hard to find and they're expensive. So, and obviously they could be used as bargaining chips, as hostages, but like that." The fact that Elite Guard parts are there's a black market for it, and that they're rare and they're expensive. That says a bunch of different things. Yeah. And it also,
we've talked before, that's where all the money's going, right? It's all the taxpayer dollars on Cybertron are funding Ultra Magnus and the Elite Guard.
Yeah. And let's not forget in Rise of the Beast, Scourge, of like his shoulder pauldron full of badges, he does on screen have an Elite Guard badge. He is taking out an Elite Guard Autobot at some point and taking his badge, which I kind of cheered for that in the theater when that happened. I'm like, I know what that is.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, I saw the wings and I knew what it was. That kind of thing.
Just for you, Mikey. Just for you.
Yeah, yes, just for me. First time watcher of Transformers Animated. To say nothing about the folks who have been fighting the good fight for 15 years. So would that make me Jyn Erso and you, Cassian Andor? You're like, oh, the rebellion is real for you now? I've been in this
Yeah.
5 years old.
Oh, isn't that sweet? You had a little moment in a movie. How cute.
Exactly. Oh, you like Transformers animated? Well, welcome to the club.
Yeah.
Actually, that's not all that dissimilar to like when I started engaging with Transformers fandom. I've told this story a million times. I'm like, I like Transformers the movie. And it's like, great, take a number and get to the back of the line. You ain't special. Oh, you saw Transformers the movie when you were 7 years old in a theater twice? Great. Who hasn't? Get to the back of the line.
And we probably won't get to your question. I'm gonna cut off the line here.
The line is capped.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, going back to this moment, this also was a direct. It's a little bit slanted, but it's a direct scene from Con Air because actually Nicolas Cage character is the one that convinces John Malkovich's character, who's Swindle here, that keeping the guards alive is a good move. Swindle obviously doing it here for money. Nicolas Cage doing it because he's the hero and wants to keep people alive. So. But yeah, I wrote down like this was the first moment that felt really like taken directly from Con Air and put back in here. This whole exchange with the keeping the elite guard alive.
Yeah, because
the elite guard and the guard, obviously the guard on the ship, that's what they call them. Guard Bishop was the character. Guard Falzon. The elite guard and the guard is definite connective tissue there.
Oh, I love that. Great observation. So back on Earth, we have this Broken Lance legislation, but Bulkhead also notices that there is a transwarp field on the elite guard ship. That like they see the signal. And am I misremembering it? Is there further bickering between Isaac and Bulkhead at this point, or are we still doing some JURIS-MY-DICTION type of thing? It's like, that's not what this field is. That's what this means. It's like, if you knew how to, calibrate the spimmer spammer and the flimmer flammer, back when I worked with Megatron,
right. Yeah. Well, sorry. After her little fingies thing she did before, she kind of gets a feel for it.
Phrasing.
God damn it.
Boom.
Think about what you said.
Yeah, sorry. But anyways, the whole thing is
I like my name.
she thinks she can lock onto this signature, and they don't believe her. They're like, "Oh, come on, right? Like, how are you going to do it?" And then again, she just goes ahead and does it while they're arguing about it.
Oh, even to the point where Bulkhead is like,
"You can only get lucky once, kiddo."
Yeah.
And it's like, what is that?
I think that was a big bummer to me how shitty Bulkhead is being to her, because they were close. They were real buddies. And this is one of their few times that they have some on-screen time together. And it's like they're just meeting today for the first time.
Yeah. Well, and not to be too morose about it, but one of the last times. Again, we're running out of episodes.
Yeah.
So it's
exactly.
So to see something like this so setbacky, it carries a weight of being upsetting that it probably wouldn't have otherwise. But in retrospect, knowing that we only have a few episodes left, it's like, come on, guys, figure this shit out. This is some season 1 bullshit. Get over it. That kind of thing.
I wonder if the idea, sorry to interrupt, I wonder if the idea is that he's kind of harboring some bad vibes at her still for what happened. I wonder if that was sort of supposed to carry through in the writing of like, now there's this wall between them because of it.
Maybe. And I think there's also this thing of, constantly needing to prove herself. Like, again, we've seen that thematically over and over again. Contrast that with Bulkhead constantly having to assert himself as a space bridge genius. I mean, again, we are 10 episodes into season 3, which means we're 12 episodes away from the revelation that Bulkhead is a secret space bridge genius. And like, he still has to make his case because nobody believes him, even his trusted friends. And that's gotta hurt.
Yeah.
That's gotta hurt. So you talk about resentment, and I'm sure he's got some of that chip on his shoulder, because every line that Bulkhead says has a little sting of hurt and resentment, but also trying to assert himself as well. He's saying a lot without saying a lot.
That's so true. Yeah, that's a great point. I guess since we're doing, I apparently have become the Con Air scorer for this. Like I'm keeping track of every little reference.
I love it. This is great.
But not only is this transwarp signal a plot device to kind of move things forward, but it actually relates to the transponder bit from Con Air, where they actually took the transponder and put it on like a little tourist aircraft to throw them off the hunt. So that to me felt really Con Air as well.
And then, so Sorry activates the Space Bridge Nexus, the terminal, and basically it's like, well, what are we going to do? Well, Optimus is like, I will jump on the cross and sacrifice my life.
I was going to say, are you enjoying having classic Optimus back? Bulkhead says, not sure I can get you back. And Optimus just goes, do it. Like he's just, do it. Yeah, baby.
like he's ordering a Seattle dog outside of a stadium. He walks up. He's like, I don't know if you remember me, but I said do it, and then you did it. Do it. And then he started putting cream cheese on the Space Bridge Nexus.
I'm not sure I can get you back. I feel like Optimus is like, oh, was there even a chance of that? I didn't even think about that.
Didn't even consider it. And he jumps through the bubble. And so he from there, and again, to remind the audience that this is indeed a cartoon, delightfully so in the best way possible. Like, I feel like animated is the only iteration that you can get away with this gag in, where Optimus basically emerges through the space bridge in his chest, and he reaches his arm out and basically like pulls himself out. And obviously Swindle is incredibly upset by this, because there is some body horror adjacent stuff going on here. It's like Optimus Prime : chest burster here.
Yeah, exactly. There's actually a lot to this scene. So actually, right before he comes out of his chest, which is something I didn't think I was going to be saying today, but here we are.
Thank you for coming so quickly. Phrasing first, boom.
So Swindle's kind of arguing with the Starscream clones back on the ship, and then he does the helmets bit, right? More helmet legislation. This is where he goes,
Never could get the hang of cloning. Why don't you try these on for size? Just so I can tell you bots apart.
So Sunstorm gets the classic Starscream helmet.
And sell more toys.
Exactly. Ramjet gets the cone head. This must be toy accurate, right? This is where this is a little blind spot for me, but
it's got to be. I don't know. Yeah. I don't even know if there was a Ramjet toy. I know that there was a Sunstorm toy, because apparently, from what I understand, they released Sunstorm instead of Thundercracker. And like Thundercracker is like a Europe only thing or something. Like Thundercracker is like super, super rare. Whereas like Skywarp and Sunstorm are more the most domestically available seekers. That kind of thing.
Interesting. But either way, so then is right. This follows up with Optimus doing the chest burster thing, and they have to know they're doing Alien at this point, because you got the little bit of like the dent coming out of the chest of Swindle, and then if you were unsure if it was an Aliens reference, Optimus's hand grabs the face like the face hugger, grabs Swindle's face. I just thought that was so cool. But a little sidebar on this. You're kind of alluding to Swindle being pissed about this. He's sort of like pissed because I think it's funny. He's like,
this is a private transwarp frequency to my own personal storage dimension, mister.
Thank you very much. Like he's salty. It's a big invasion of his privacy. But this is one of my all-time favorite things from all of Transformers animated. The idea that, Swindle has this little private storage space, the mini space bridge on his person. I always loved that. I just thought it was so cool. Like that's just one of those little things that I latched onto about this show that kind of cemented my love for it. But now looking at it through this lens, it's the ultimate irony, because so much time and effort is spent by everyone trying to get the space bridge online, to reverse engineer a space bridge, to build a space bridge. We need a space bridge. And this dead car in the county lockup has had one in his chest the whole time. It's just such perfect, juicy irony that we've seen on this show a few times.
Oh, that's amazing. And also of note, we've compared Transformers animated lovingly so to Looney Tunes. And what is more Looney Tunes than having your own personal hammer space?
Really? Seriously.
That's such a cartoon trope thing. That's amazing. And that's got to be intentional.
Yeah.
Like,
it also kind of ties into, I was going a little bit into the TF wiki about this. This also kind of ties into like this sort of subspace thing of Transformers. Like that's where their parts go. And like, that's where their weapon, that's why they're able to whip their weapons out so fast and stuff like that. Like that's sort of a Transformers trope too. But yeah, I think it's being done a little more Looney Tunes style here for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Either way, it's a fun ass sequence. And I do love that delivery from Fred Willard where it's like, he puts on the angry eyes and he is so indignant about his private space being invaded there for sure. That's some good stuff. But basically what happens though, instead of attacking, much to Sentinel's dismay, as we see, Optimus opts for a strategic retreat. But
before that, I do want to bring up, before that, he does get a sweet rocket swing with the axe in. I knew you enjoyed that. He fires up the thing and sweeps the leg with it. That was a really cool shot. And
you get a, dare I say, toyetic extension of the handle also. It's like there's an audible click when he extends it, which I found incredibly satisfying.
Space phrasing.
Yeah. And then I had Nicolas Cage's friend in that movie. I can't remember his name, but he's like, you're not that guy anymore. You're doing that Army Ranger shit. It's like, yeah, that's what it was.
Incidentally, I'm sorry. Gonna stop the whole damn show yet again. Like, Nicolas Cage. I mean, obviously, he's a lethal weapon and all that because of like his training. But first of all, 3 guys come at him. They beat him up for an extended period of time, and then a dude comes at him with a knife. I mean, like, what else is Nicolas Cage supposed to do? Nicolas Cage in Con Air has the worst lawyer ever in the history of bad movie lawyers. Because, like, he's kind of right. He's like, I will not plead guilty to that. Like,
right.
I mean, his Forrest Gump voice.
Yeah, his best Forrest Gump.
It is out of control.
That was a choice. I don't know why that needed to be so important that he had that Southern dialect. I don't know what part of the script, or like, did the writer just like that has to be it? That has to be in there no matter what.
Everybody's doing it. I mean, like, they got poor Monica Potter doing it. Like, she doesn't sound like that. She just sounds like a normal lady. Like, everybody's like, oh, dang, stupid is a stupid dog. oh, Billy Bedlam, why didn't you put the bunny back in the box? Sad about it and stuff. Oh, no. Oh, shucks. Anyway,
Monica Potter though, also quick reference, just one of my all-time celebrity crushes. That was really fun to see her.
You forget, and it's like every time I've because I hadn't watched that movie in 20 years. Like, every time I see it, just like a new synapse fires. I'm just like, wow.
Yeah, she is like notoriously underused in Hollywood films. Like, she should have been a way bigger star than she was.
Absolutely. So we're about here to get into a different movie entirely, because a couple of them actually, because so Optimus escapes from the Decepticons, and Sentinel this whole time, he has such a tenuous grip on his authority. Like, I will never feel bad for Sentinel Prime, but there's a part of me that is empathetic to his plight, in that nobody obeys his orders. Especially Optimus, but still, well documented, nobody follows Sentinel Prime's orders or takes him seriously as a commander. It is kind of a problem.
Yep, we're going to see that continue to play out. Minor spoiler alarms here, but we'll continue to see that beyond this episode, actually. And also, I love how Nicolas Cage Optimus was here, because he's doing like the 90s one-liner part too. Like, even like this whole thing about not following orders is really a theme that plays out at the end. But this moment too, where he's like, Optimus, attack! What are you waiting for?
Better odds.
Like that's such a
that's
such a 90s trope action movie thing. This is the moment. The first thing that happens is he transforms and flattens Swindle on his way out, and this is also very Looney Tunes. He literally flattens Swindle to the ground, and then when he transforms, I kind of wanted to bring this up. He transforms into the full fire engine here
with the trailer.
Yeah, and I don't think the trailer plays any important part to this story necessarily, but it was cool that it got used, and it's used again in like this moment coming up where he goes around a corner and ditches the trailer in the same motion. Like he goes right and the trailer goes left, and it's being shot from like this top down angle. Like it was so cool and so like jarring is not the right word because I really liked it and it felt in place, but they don't do that shot very much. That perfectly top down view. It was really cool.
Well, and it's so rare that Optimus is shown with his full trailer. Like more often than not, he's just a cab. And we've seen throughout the show that he has the versatility to use a variety of different cabs. So like, I don't know, it is an interesting choice. I don't know if we're trying to sell a toy there. So I don't know if there's an Optimus figure that has the full trailer. I mean, obviously there's I think it's DNA Designs, I think, or non-F. I don't remember which one, but anyway, like one of there is an upgrade kit, a substantial upgrade kit for the current legacy Optimus. It's you get the trailer and then you get a more to it that I am not sure that I'm supposed to know what it is.
Yes, that's enough now, Mike.
Because when that dropped, I mean, much like when Soundwave became ruler of the Decepticons in Skybound, everybody sent it. Are you getting this? Are you getting this? I'm like, I don't think I'm supposed to know what this is.
Clear all.
Clear cache.
Right. What the part I wanted to bring up though is like, as far as I can tell, the only reason to show him with the full trailer is to get that cool scene of him jettisoning the trailer when he goes around the corner. Like I feel like it was just like maybe an animator just wanting to be like, this would be a fucking cool shot. We're gonna do it. Awesome.
Right. So with that, Optimus hatches a plan, and the Decepticons go in pursuit. But also of note here, Lugnut specifically orders Swindle to guard the prisoners, which will come back into play in a bit. But Optimus goes into a completely different movie. He has become John McClane.
Yes.
I mean, and to your point earlier, Michael Andrews, about like 90s quips, he literally has like a version of the, come out to the coast, we'll have some laughs,
Yeah.
Sure, transform me onto the ship. Rescue my old buddy from a bunch of Decepticons. It'll be fun.
He's literally John McClaning to himself as he's going through this ducting here.
Right. As he's crawling through the Jeffries tube. I want to mention this cool shot too, because just before the Jeffries tube quote unquote scene happens, he goes into the hot pink energon chamber, and the whole like color scheme changes to like this hot pink neon synthy, I don't know, cyberpunk type feel. Really cool. And then he like dices up. He uses his axe to like dice up the energon like butter, right? Like it's just all these clean cuts. And then he does another great one-liner. He says "going down," and he sends like the energon down the elevator shaft. And there's this great shot where almost like the camera's attached to the falling elevator, looking up at him, sort of like Batman animated-esque. It's just a great shot. Yeah, it was super cool, super 90s homage-y, and just super cool animation scene.
Well, and so quippy as shit too, as well. I mean, even to the point where he's apparently too effective at making these cuts. The energon cubes become volatile and ultimately explode. And Optimus gets some singed eyebrows for his trouble. And he has another quippy one-liner here too. It's like, what is wrong with you? Like have you just been watching shitty 90 movies with sorry like, what is going on here?
Just got her like VHS collection or something and one night and sat down with some oil and went through the whole pack.
Well, it makes me wonder what it was like after the Human Air Christmas adventure. Like, you know, like are they on winter break, you know, like that dead spot between Christmas and New Year's? Like, did they just hang out at Autobot HQ, you know, really still nursing the hangover from the oil nog and the Soundwave Matrix experience there? I
want to take the tree down now. Let's do that next week. Can you just put on some movies or something?
Yeah, they literally probably just turned on TNT or TBS or one of those dad adjacent cable channels, because all of these movies that we're talking about, Con Air, huge TNT movie. Like, you couldn't get away from it. In fact, I think when I watched it, I streamed it on AMC. I think I DVR'd it from AMC. So I watched a TV cut of the movie for my rewatch there, which has some fun stuff in there.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that idea. That's canon now to me.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, I just hung over for a week just watching these dad for noon movies, these dad afternoon sleepy Sunday afternoon movies.
Gonna need to clean up on aisle 3, just stuff like that, you know. All these
and somebody, I don't know who it would be. Maybe it would be Sorry, but somebody's like, "Why are you talking like that? What's wrong with you? Like, your vocabulary is ruined."
Yeah, but the explosion you mentioned, the Energon explosion, is what leads him to go into the ventilation shaft.
They've gone up the ventilation shaft.
And there is that cool scene, like, they know they're about to turn it into Die Hard, because there's that scene right there where he's like, you know, kind of blown back against the wall, and he like glances over, and like the entrance to the shaft is right there, and it's like, oh yeah, we know what we're getting into here.
So Swindle is back with the prisoners, and I think it's here where he's trying to decide. He's like, do I
guard the prisoners or loot the ship? It's a no processor.
And ultimately, greed wins out.
Yeah, it's just like two little devils on his shoulder. They're both like, just go raid the ship.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's no a voice of reason there, because it's just like, I mean, this is an Elite Guard flagship. I mean, like, think of all the stuff that's got to be there. I mean, like, there's probably like actual treasure there, like actual, like, you know, gold, or to say nothing about like the Energon, because, like, you know, Energon is fuel, but it's also shit, piss, and blood, but it's also currency, you know, that kind of thing.
Now I'm sort of having this moment. You were mentioning like the joyous wake up of Swindle, him doing donuts. I wonder it's because he woke up on an Elite Guard ship and he's just like, jackpot.
Yeah, for sure. So regardless, Swindle takes off, and Prime arrives shortly after, like almost like immediately afterwards. Like, I mean, because again, it's a short cartoon, so a lot of things just happen very quickly and immediately. So Optimus shows up, and is it here where it transitions from Die Hard into Mission Impossible?
Yeah, we're getting another reference to an action movie, because he's crawling through the ventilation shaft that's above Jazz and Sentinel's cell. The screws come undone one at a time. This is straight out of Mission Impossible, like the magnetic thing. And then he just drops in hanging from cables, not purposely, but he does do like the T-pose stop above the floor just before he hits it. That somehow worked its way into almost every movie made after Mission Impossible. Like, so many things spoofed that. Or not even spoofed, just like stole it, because they're like, that was so cool.
Yeah, because it was. And it is
cool.
Speaking of, saw the trailer for that Final Reckoning. Oh, man. Yeah. I'm sorry. Mission Impossible -8 Dead Reckoning, Part 2 : The Final Reckoning. That's
a longer title than I do.
Yeah, exactly. But it's don't forget, the Dead Reckoning is an Orphan Part 1. But that's neither here nor there. The trailer for it, because like it like calls back to other Mission Impossible movies. You've got like a shot of 3, Michael Andrews' favorite, with like the radiation canisters. But anyway, like the knife from when Ethan Hunt drops out of the ceiling. He's got a pocket knife, and he's shown with the same knife on the airplane in Final Reckoning. It's like, you want to talk about nothing is wasted. It's like
that was that French guy's knife too that he got.
Yeah.
That was his originally. That's awesome.
Exactly. Dude, I cannot wait. I'm super stoked.
That's
super stoked to continue to talk about Transformers animation also. Like, this has to be like shy of a Autopod Decepticast crossover episode. This has got to be our most front-loaded, unabashed Gen X pop culture movie reference episode ever. Like, our young friends are just like tuned TF out.
Yeah, right. Well, we're taking them to school a little bit here. We're not saying you have to go watch those movies, but damn it, we're going to talk. This is specifically referencing those movies. We get to talk about it, okay?
Yeah. It's my podcast. This is my personal storage dimension podcast.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Optimus frees the Autobots, and of course Sentinel has no chill. Like he grills this dude like immediately. Like, what are we doing here?
Even as Optimus is rescuing him single-handedly, Sentinel is bringing up court-martialing Optimus. Like, that's how serious it is. And it's just like, oh my God.
And he pulls some of the same, like, you will address me as commander and sir and all that bullshit he was pulling on Jazz earlier.
I am temporary Magnus now. You must follow my orders without question.
Like, I don't know. It's really frustrating. So, but anyway, the reunion is cut short as the Decepticons have returned to find that Swindle has indeed abandoned his post, to the surprise of absolutely nobody.
So, Swindle cannot be bothered to guard the prisoners.
But this is pretty cool. You get a little bit of spycraft here, where it's kind of like a Kirk and Spock and Wrath of Khan type of situation. It's like, no uncoded messages sent over an open frequency, that type of thing. It's like, oh man, things are really bad here. We hope to restore power in 2 days.
Yeah,
that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, so basically, like, Optimus is telling Jazz the plan to, oh man, you need to rewire the decontamination unit and make it into a carbon freeze chamber.
Yeah,
and he really wants to like Bespin these fuckers.
And he's doing this all through like the blinking rub sign kind of a thing, right?
Yes, it's through his shoulder emblem.
Right, so he's actually saying, he saying something different out loud, and then it's blinking on his shoulder. I love stuff like that. That is so cool.
Yeah, and probably because Optimus still has a degree of elite guard training, so that somebody who is elite guard and cyber ninja like Jazz immediately picks up on it. Like, probably it's just like, oh yeah, way to use your skills, Optimus. That kind of thing.
Yeah, that's great. That's also very Mission Impossible too. It kind of reminds me of that scene in Mission Impossible 3 when they're, Ethan's strapped down and Billy Crudup, his quote unquote friend in that movie, goes in there and gives him the knife, and he's like saying something out loud for the recording devices, and then mouthing what he wants Ethan to hear. That really reminded me of that too.
Absolutely. All great stuff. But then Optimus springs into action. You got some more axe action. You cut this steamy duct, and Jazz is covering the escape. But then my dude Lugnut. This is great. Like, this whole sequence rocks, because we've probably asked ourselves, as listeners and watchers, both first time and long time, what would happen if the punch of kill everything is deployed inside a spaceship? Well, my friends, we find out real quick. It was a real fuck around and find out situation.
Yeah, it's actually a really brilliant kind of a scene, because it goes from being like, oh, you idiot Lugnut, we're on a ship, you dummy. And then you get a cool animation. Like, there's like these like anime inspired pencil stroke lines when he's actually doing the punch. Very manga kind of feel to it. Some of the color kind of desaturates and everything. It's really interesting. But anyways, yeah, so at first it starts with you being like, oh, this guy's so dumb. Why is he punching a hole in this ship? And then you realize like, oh, it's all part of their plan. Like, duh, they're Decepticons. They can all fly. Let's put them on their, let's really like unlevel the playing field here. The Autobots are going to be at a disadvantage and everyone else can just fly in space. Brilliant plan by Lugnut.
Yeah, surprisingly so. And it's at this point during this legislation that it happens. The thing that I never thought was going to happen, it's about to happen. And, because there's Decepticons and they need to get rallied, and Lugnut is the next one in line. Really kind of the Sentinel Prime of the Decepticons here, if you think about it from that angle. And he says with such righteous indignation,
Decepticons, transform and rise up!
And I literally, I am not joking with you, Michael Andrews. I literally stood up and cheered. Granted, it was at 10 o'clock at night, and my lovely wife was trying to sleep, but I'm just like, yeah! It was like, that phrasing, even regardless of who says it, just the fact that rise up is so intrinsic to the Decepticon ethos. It's like, it's the thing I never knew I wanted, but I'm so goddamn grateful that I have.
It's such a great line because it's not only is it a command for like lift off the ground a lot of the time, but it also, obviously hinting at revolution too. Like that's it's so smart. It's so smart.
Yeah. Well, and on the surface, it's just equal opposite to roll out. Yeah. Because I'm sure folks had like a dry erase board and they were trying to puzzle through what is the Decepticons version of rollout. Yeah. And somebody like I would love to have a conversation with whoever the person who is most singularly responsible for that phrasing. Because I bet you that came from like a writer's room thing. It's like, well, what do Decepticons do? Well, they fly. So they don't roll, they fly. Decepticons fly out, Decepticons take off. Decepticons, well, they're doing something up. I got it. That kind of thing. Yeah. And then
it's brilliant. Like even rollout doesn't carry the weight that rise up does, right? Like rollout was clearly thought of like way quicker and faster, and they just went with it. Rise up has all this baggage on it of like, oh, this oppressed society is like rising up from the ash. Oh, it's just so good.
Yeah. And to see that recontextualized for a whole new audience and in parallel with my experience to it. It's like, I've talked about this on the show ad nauseum, but like when you see that first trailer for Transformers 1 and you hear Brian Tyree Henry say rise up, like my heart stopped. Like it skipped a beat. I'm like, did he just say the thing that I have just now made my entire personality? Because like we had just done Megatron Rising. So it's like very much in the forefront of my mind. I'm just like, how is this happening? It's like
so amazing.
How is this happening to me?
Another movie they made just for you. Another reference just for you.
Yeah. And
Seibert's going to be there opening night, probably a couple weeks before. We better give him a little nudge.
Well, I even talked about that. Like these poor convention attendees, like we rolled the trailer at Seibfest last year, and and we watched it twice and all that, and I told the whole story. I'm like, do you understand what that means to me? And poor World, they're like, let go of my wrist. I get it. Thank you.
You collectively held the entire room's wrist.
Yes. It's okay, Mike. Let go of everybody's wrist.
It was that scene from Iron Man 3 where you like charged it and everyone's holding onto someone else's wrist.
Very much so. Talk about a Sunbow wrist grab. Speaking of conventions, completely unrelated, but I have heard, I don't know if they've advertised this on their show or not, but I have heard firsthand that our friends from the Autopod Decepticast will indeed have a dealer table at TFCon Chicago. So if you are going to TFCon Chicago this fall, check out their table. They'd like, they'll have all the posters and prints and buttons, and maybe you could get yourself a pint glass and slice your finger open like I did. But no, I'm so happy for those dudes, because like they have made so much cool creative stuff that and it just needs to connect to a different audience. So I can't think of anything more perfect than having a dealer table at TFCon where folks could actually like experience it and get to hang out with those guys and experience their merch and maybe listen to their podcast, which would lead them to listen to our podcast, because we're all in a cinematic universe together.
Yeah, let's see if we can ride their coattails a little bit.
Yeah, how do we make this about us?
Yes, much like they did when they came on our show. We're gonna take our revenge at TFCon Chicago.
They did all their segments on our show.
They forgot that we were there at some point.
I think so.
Like they just were doing their thing.
I call that the Mike Seibert effect.
Full circle. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. So regardless, transform and rise up, and the despite even Jetfire and Jetstorm having some space combat proficiency, the Autobots are promptly rounded up. Like this gets pretty one-sided pretty quickly.
I do, if I can just jump back here, I do appreciate the juxtaposition of kind of like the Decepticons getting to see the quote unquote abominations of that is the flying Autobots, right? Like that was a really smart line, because Lugnet going to they'll never stop us now. They're all Autobots. They can't fly in space. And then actually seeing one, like I kind of breezed over that moment. But what a mind fuck that must have been for them.
Yeah,
flying
absolutely.
Autobots. It was weird enough for the Autobots to see a flying Autobot. Imagine a Decepticon seeing.
Exactly. Meanwhile, Swindle is drunk with treasure. He's like Indiana Jones's buddy in that Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Like, what's that guy? Name. I don't remember the guy's name, but he's like, I lied about being a double. he's just scooping up treasure.
Right.
Like, Swindle is just drunk on treasure hunting, and he looks out the window and he sees this combat happening. He's like,
maybe I should help them.
Nah, just continues to loot into his hammer space there.
He also kind of reminded me of Benny in The Mummy. At the end of the Mummy, when he's like, all the doors are dropping and he's like dragging the treasure out. He's just, it's kind of like that.
Either one of those characters could have used their own personal storage dimension.
For real. Yeah, that brings up a thing. I wonder if he can like use that himself. I was thinking more about it in the sense like, if he were in that situation where like doors are shutting around him, like in The Mummy, like could he use his own space bridge to escape? Can he like curl up into himself and like implode
like a potato bug?
Or like a popple? Can he get in there?
That's a great question.
Yeah, interesting.
I don't know.
Oh, I'll think about it at 3 a.m. probably.
There's gonna be like a late night text. He's like, I got it. I was watching Clerks and I got it. I'm like, oh no. And it's like,
I can never reach. Reach what?
What do you mean?
I take the toy off the shelf and I'm trying to like fold it into itself.
Yeah, not enough ab crunch.
Yeah, right. True for me as well.
He's got a nice waist swivel, but not enough ab crunch for my taste.
Yeah.
You know what? You don't want too much ab crunch because that just breaks the mold anyway. It just breaks it. It's like, okay.
I gotcha.
Let's see. So Swindle shrugs and continues to loot.
Yeah, he's just at the buffet, man. That's his. Yeah, that's his old country buffet right there.
He is just gorging himself. But meanwhile, you get some more space combat. Sentinel is kind of teamed up with Optimus here. This is I don't know. Does this count as a fastball special? This kind of thing where Optimus kind of uses Sentinel kind of sort of as a slingshot type of thing against Lugnut there. I mean, it's
a little bit. I mean, they're in space, so I don't know if it counts, but it's maritime law, but for space, maybe. I don't know.
And it's not the most consensual of fastball specials also.
Right. It's not a launch me situation by any means.
Right.
But yeah, I also want to mention here too the juxtaposition of when Lugnut in plane mode looks like the plane from Con Air, looks like the Jailbird. That was really smart. I don't know if that's the whole reason that he's in this plane, or like if like the character made sense to be there, or if someone was like, oh, we need to get this guy on this plane. If we're gonna do this Decepticon Air episode, we got to have that plane on there.
Yeah, and I wonder how far back that even goes. Like we speculated a while ago, because like I'm sure somebody looked at the character design. And I think if I remember correctly, Alpha Magnus told us by season 2, like the toys and the production of the show were kind of in lockstep, whereas like in the production of season 1, they didn't have the toys yet, so they were just kind of trying to figure it out. I would imagine that once somebody saw the character design for Lugnut, again, somebody on the vision board just wrote Decepticon Air. Like that's got to be something that somebody just wrote, and it's like, oh, and then just worked backwards from there.
It writes itself.
Reverse engineering situation there.
There
for sure.
you go. Yes, yeah. But either way, there's this scene too. Blitzwing somehow gets a hold of Sentinel, encases him in ice, and this was kind of a tender moment here. I love the whole callback to the "that's an order" motif. This next order is "do not surrender," and he's kind of changing that timbre again too, to like the sensitive Sentinel that I've kind of grown to hearing in my head. Like he can switch in and out of it so quick, but this is definitely the sensitive sound moment.
No! Do not surrender! That is a direct order!
Yeah, and it's juxtaposed and contrasted with him being so bombastic to Optimus. He's like, I am your leader. You will obey me. And then Blitzwing seizes that opportunity. He's like, oh, shit, that's the leader? That's the guy who I'm going to turn my freeze guns on. So, like, yeah, if Sentinel didn't have such a big mouth, he wouldn't have made himself as much of a target.
In that case, surrender, or I will blast your leader to bits.
But like you said, you know, there is this moment where Optimus surrenders, and you see Sentinel just like his eyes kind of close and his head dips. Like it's kind of a gut punch.
Yeah. Well, and he's telling Optimus to take the shot. Like, I think that's what's so touching about it. It's like this is the most self-sacrificial we've seen Sentinel. And it's also, since I'm keeping score, this is like a direct scene in Con Air that happened much earlier in Con Air than it's happening here. Mm-hmm. But the guard Bishop is being held at gunpoint by John Malkovich's character. Right. And a similar thing happens with Nicolas Cage. He refuses to take the shot because but the captive Bishop is like, do it, shoot him.
Yeah. In fact, Bishop has no regard for her own personal safety at that point. It's like, you know, shoot through me to shoot him. You know, it's like, you have to take the shot. And everybody's disappointed when old Cameron Poe there can't quite pull the trigger. Not unlike Optimus Prime. Cameron Poe, Optimus Prime. No, that's
Dameron. There's something there.
God damn it. Michael Landers and his sequels.
His name in the phone book would be.
There you go. So the Autobots are captured. We go to the bridge where Blitzwing and the Jets put the Autobots into this decontamination unit, which felt like it was just kind of like the center of the bridge. Like it has like this cylindrical force field type of thing. And even Blitzwing is kind of giving Optimus the business here, saying it's like, oh yeah, you big mouth Optimus over here. We totally figured out your plans.
Perhaps you should not shout your plans where every audio receptor can hear.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And he says something to the effect of like,
now you puny Autobots will be frozen in your own trap.
And then we can grind him up into snow cones. Oh yeah!
You forget for a moment that Blitzwing's primary weapons are fire and ice. Mm-hmm. So like Blitzwing has picked up that this is like a reverse Bespin situation, that it's like, you know, they're going to get frozen. And he says something to them. I'm like, he's not quite Mr. Freeze, but he does engage in ice puns from that time.
Oh, there's definitely a relation there.
Totally. Now part of me wants a version of Blitz. I love this version of Blitzwing. Don't get me wrong, but I would almost like a version where it's Michael Ansara's iconic performance as Mr. Freeze in the Batman animated series. You know, where he would like say shit like,
"Yes, it would move me to tears if I still had tears to shed."
Yeah.
Like imagine a Blitzwing that talks like that.
Right. Or if one of the heads was just like a really like a cold calculating type of character.
Oh, that would be cool because like you keep and that would be in more contrast to like the Arnold hothead. And I think that's kind of what the snooty monocle one is supposed to be. Right. But I take it even further, like he's cold and detached and like Bumper Robinson can get there, like, like listen to like some of his like zombie Bumblebee stuff where he's just like the techno organic must be destroyed. It's like, you can get there. So, but yeah, that would be fun. That would be fun.
I think that'd be a really good move, actually, because sometimes the monocle face and the chaos face are a little too close together in personality for me.
Yeah, I agree. It's a cool gimmick, but it's not always executed as well as it could.
Right.
But regardless, it's time to turn on the chamber, and it's going to be a chilly day for the Autobots. And it's like, you can feel the lights going down and like the tubes are going in. And, I want Sentinel to just pop off into Optimus and say, "I love you." And Optimus, I know, and all that kind of stuff. Because that's the other thing. We haven't even talked about like the unreconciled sexual tension between these two guys. Like, I talked about it a little bit in the Predacons Rising episode, but still it's like there's definitely tension there for sure. But anyway, like turns out the tubes change course and reverse, and turns out they did a Superman 2 on the guys instead, and it is the Decepticons that are frozen, and the Autobots are safe within the force field. Now, to complete the Superman 2 trope, I would love it if Optimus, like, talking about like his shoulder symbol, like peels it off and throws it as cellophane across the room. And that movie isn't as good as people remember, by the way. The first one is legit untouched, but yeah, that Superman 2 gets a little saggy in the middle. Ask your parents about that.
For sure.
So the Decepticons are frozen, and Sentinel is just beside himself. He doesn't know what in hell is going on, but basically like Optimus explains it, and he like even like points at the at the emblem. I think it like starts flashing.
Yeah, he does a couple blinks with it.
Actually does it. Yeah, it's almost like a Terry Crews like pec flex.
Yeah, exactly.
He just like does it just for like funsies.
Right. And it was I think what you're getting at is Sentinel was the one that ultimately gave him the idea. The secret code that he used at the Academy reminded him about secret codes, and it all worked out.
Well, you gave me the idea with your sub-frequency message. I said one thing to Jazz while telling another in Cybertronian optical code.
Which I thought was really cool. I thought that was a really cool way to kind of tie their dynamic together, because again, it is mostly antagonistic, but there's also history there. And while Sentinel is a mostly confrontational force in Optimus's life, Optimus isn't so stubborn as to just like not take inspiration from what Sentinel does. So yeah, him picking up on the secret code thing, it's like real dental plan. Lisa needs braces, protoform type of thing. And it just reminds him. And I thought that was pretty cool. But that tender moment is cut short as you hear a shuttlecraft streaking away, and it is Swindle with a boat full of loot. Good stuff.
Classic Swindle finds the middle road out.
And again, maybe it's because of the Fred Willardness of it, or maybe it's just because I read a tender sweet tribute comic or whatever, but like that part where like Swindle is just gleefully laughing out of frame, I just I took special resonance with that. And it's like I like that Swindle is so joyful.
Nothing beats a shopping spree. Especially when it's all free!
Like, he's a bad dude, and like, he's underhanded, and he's a deal maker. I mean, it's literally his name, but he's not a mean-spirited evil person. Like, he's not a prick. He's not an asshole.
Yeah.
And more than anything, he loves life. Like, he's just like, oh man, I'm stealing shit. I'm fucking swindling. Like, he's just so happy with himself. And I really kind of love it.
Yeah. Yeah. And not a killer so far, not really hurting anybody, I guess. Right. Definitely not as much as the others. So yeah. All right. We'll give him a pass.
Thank you.
We'll be excited that he escaped. Sure.
Yeah. Appreciate that. I mean, I like this fate, this open-ended fate for Swindle far more than having him just rot away in the impound for all eternity. Because like I told you when we did that SUV episode, being the first time watcher and not looking ahead, for all I knew, that was the last Swindle episode. I mean, I suspected that it wasn't, but I had no empirical evidence to back that up. So I hoped that there would be another one. And, once we got closer to doing Decepticon Air and, I'm seeing like thumbnails and stuff, I'm like, oh, thank goodness my boy is safe.
Yeah, that's too good of a character to waste in that way.
Absolutely. And especially from such a grim fate. I like this so much better that now, if this is the last time that we see Swindle, and I get the feeling that it truly is, much like, you can't see it on camera on a podcast, but I'm wearing my G1 Soundwave shirt because in talking about the Christmas episode, it hits me now in a way that it didn't previously, that is very likely a curtain call on Soundwave, and that's probably the last time we'll see him. So as we're saying goodbye to these characters, like, I mean, the Seekers, Ramjet, Sunstorm, maybe even Blitzwing and Lugnut. I don't know who's going to make it to the end. So anytime I see an episode, especially now deep into season 3, I'm just assuming that this is the last time we see them. So I look at every departure as with a, again, a bittersweet thing. Like, don't cry because it was over, laugh because it happened. That kind of thing. And that's kind of how I look at these characters as we do a long goodbye to each of them as we go. Yeah, well,
regardless, even if we don't see them again necessarily, we won't see them in this capacity where they're like the highlight of the episode or the star of their own episode, like we have been. As we get, no matter what, there won't be like a Soundwave episode. There won't be another Swindle episode.
Right. Exactly. So regardless, the day is saved. And this is an interesting moment between Sentinel and Optimus, where like Sentinel has some of that still leftover humility from what he had a little bit ago. And I take him at his word when he says, I think he's being genuine and honest when he tells Optimus that he did a great job.
Optimus, there's still space for you on the elite guard.
Yeah. ... The one I'm vacating when I become Magnus. Like, there is that sort of like, he's got to just always end with being a dick. But to your point, I really do think he was offering Optimus a job there. Yeah.
Now we could debate and discuss the further implications of that. Does he want to have Sentinel under his, does Sentinel want to have Optimus under his thumb to keep an eye on him, to subjugate him, to really just kind of make sure that he doesn't go anywhere, that kind of thing? It's like, it could be one of those things.
Right. And Optimus does take the high road here and kind of say, he has work left to do on Earth. I thought that was kind of an integrity move on his part. But in my head, I was like, he probably just knows not to take a bad job offer. Like, if this whole position is banking on Sentinel's promotion, I'm sure even Optimus is like, I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah. But anyway, so we, Optimus says,
thanks, Sentinel, but I still have work to do on Earth.
So back at Sumdac Tower, Bulkhead is getting fussy because he is seeing that Swindle's transwarp signature is getting further and further away as he's jetting off.
I don't think I can bring him back.
And actually, let me stop there for a sec, because we talked about you had talked about pretty extensively Swindle's transwarp field to his private storage dimension. The one thing he can't necessarily use it for is an actual transwarp, right? Like he can't teleport through space. It's just a conduit to this other place, which I didn't think of until now. So like he's driving that spaceship. And it's getting further out of range for Bulkhead because he's just driving. He can't just like he doesn't have a spore drive. He can't just like zip around all over the place.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I just thought of that, but it was kind of interesting. So sorry, she's offering to help Bulkhead, and Isaac here again, Father of the Year. He's just like,
that will not be necessary now.
And rightfully so. Sorry is kind of surly about this.
Listen to me, Dad. I know stuff, and I know why I know stuff.
Surly, sorry. I don't know. Maybe that's
something there.
Something there. Now that's just shattered glass. Sorry, that's something else entirely. But anyway, he it's like she's tugging his sleeve. He's like, no, it won't be necessary because look. Because the elite guard ship has returned and Optimus has returned, and it's kind of a sweet goodbye, actually. Like the two primes kind of exchange salutes, and that's that.
Yeah, I guess I liked this moment, even though it was kind of unnecessary, where she finally asserts herself. She knows stuff now. She upgraded her brain, her processor. We get a little bit of like explanation here, but like just seeing her kind of get her righteous moment was really good. And I love another Lost reference. She goes full John Locke, and she does the "Don't tell me what I can and can't do" ever. That just like that. Something that lives rent free in my brain is John Locke screaming that in Lost. So it was really cool to see like verbatim. If you can, I'd love to get a soundbite comparison of those two lines compared here. That'd be cool.
Don't ever tell me what I can't do, ever!
So don't tell me what I can or can't do!
Don't tell me what I can't do!
But yeah, you're right. And I like that how the episode progresses. Sorry starts by just saying, I don't know, I just know. But now, as she's thought about this and have been more contemplative about it, she figures out that through her upgrades that, like, I don't know, to have the self-awareness to say,
I must have upgraded my processor or my brain or whatever.
Like you think about the existential implications of that. Like this girl already has such a tenuous grip on her sense of identity, and now she has the awareness to know that through her cybernetic upgrades that she has made herself smarter. That's kind of a mind fuck.
Yeah, and they're just like totally downplaying it. I mean, it's just, to the rest of the adults in the room, they're just like, they're just moving on from it.
Well, and that's the thing I was kind of getting at a couple hours ago when I was revisiting the Christmas episode discussion. As heavy as the discovery was in Transwarped, now it's just kind of there. Like she seems to be completely at peace with her, being a techno-organic organism, and that, she's just, I don't think she's even trying to pass off as a quote unquote normal teenager. Like she's even kind of like beyond that. But we don't have any of the angst that go with it. It's like I was kind of hoping as we continued following up from the revelations of Transwarped that we would get some X-Men style angst here, some real teen angst. And because season 3 is so truncated and at such a breakneck pace, we don't got time for it. So it's like, hopefully you packed a to-go box after you ate so heavily at Transwarped, because now you just got to sustain on those leftovers because we're not going back to that restaurant. That place is closed.
Yeah, for real. No more burger. You can't go back to Burger Bach. It's true what they say.
Right.
But yeah, so this misunderstanding moment is that the Steelhaven has returned. It's a real integrity moment here as kind of Sentinel Optimus salute each other silently. I love this scene. I feel like this is actually how Con Air should have ended. Instead, there's this weird, this whole, like, now there's 3 men I trust conversation between Nicolas Cage and John Cusack.
Yeah.
I actually think this would have been a better ending, like those two just kind of nodding silently at each other.
Yeah, and then just fade to black.
Yeah, and that's all we needed.
Credits. And instead, though, you get 2 post-credit scenes. One is welcome, the other is not.
Yeah.
So you go back to Cybertron, And, we will probably spend an entire episode worth of discussion talking about the crowd. But basically, like, this is a gaudy victory parade, like pageantry up front. So it's like you are parading these Decepticons, these prisoners, through a cheering crowd. It's kind of ugly.
Yeah.
And it's ugly even before Sentinel starts to speak. And we have talked about, probably uncomfortably so for members of our audience, but once again, we cannot help but refract this through the prism of capital T, the times that we're in. And basically, Sentinel uses this as a stump speech, a propaganda speech. It's a little too Starship Troopers for my taste, and it is fascism on Maine. And it made me incredibly uncomfortable when Sentinel is like, he's even like taking bows and all this other stuff. Yeah. As these Decepticons, who are bad guys, don't get me wrong. I mean, like, Decepticons are bad guys, sure, but like they are they're in stasis cuffs and they're gagged. And they are being paraded through the town square. And Sentinels is like, yes, yeah, I caught these assholes, but you know what? Shockwave is still out there. So, you, the Autobot populace, still have to live in fear of the Decepticon menace. And again, like, it's just too real because he's fear mongering and he is treading on the Autobots being mad and scared as he uses that as the mechanism to take power. It is profoundly ugly.
And the same goes for any Decepticon that crosses my path. If you accept me as your new Magnus.
Yeah, it is a bummer looking through the lens. It's interesting. It's kind of a history repeats itself because I think this is probably originally written to take a shot at like George W. Bush, kind of using Afghanistan and all of that as a reason to stay in power. I think that's probably how it's originally meant, but now it's taken sort of a Trumpy context and even carries it further because then you have Alpha Trion and Perceptor kind of standing behind him like that. This wasn't their plan. This was Sentinel taking things into his own hands, kind of making the public adore him. Now they've forced their hand. The Autobot High Council has to sort of like accept this because it's what the people want. Like this was not their plan. They didn't want Sentinel in charge, but now how can we not? Right. They have to back the guy.
Yeah.
And that's what we're seeing that a lot now. That's just, painfully real.
He's a war hero for crying out loud. Or at least that's the narrative that he sells to the population.
Right. Right. Because they don't have another candidate to put up. There's one clear winner.
Right. Yeah. It's like I said, weirdly, accidentally upsetting. Also, though, and I think about this every time we record and every time I edit and re-listen to an episode. I got a cough up here. We don't know our history and our dates as well as I would like to think. The presidential election was in 2008. Obama has been president throughout all of season 3. So it's like he was inaugurated on January of 2009. So, but I still stand by our discourse because the writing of this is, I feel, directly influenced by the George W. Bush era. I still believe that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So, but it's funny because like, I think it was in our, was it as far back as Where's Thy Sting? I don't remember, but like at some point I got on this kick of talking about George Bush's America. And it's like, but by 2009, I don't know if I could say that anymore. So I just wanted to clear the record on that.
Sure.
Nobody has sharpshooted me on that, but like, I'm just trying to save a couple tweets and maybe some emails, but like,
well, I mean, even if you had your dates wrong, it is clearly like a representative of that presidency, right?
Yeah.
Like the Sentinel character is kind of taking a shot at that whole time frame, that whole thing that happened. I mean, at that time they didn't really have a reason to take a pot shot at Obama, so it's got to be about W.
Right, exactly. Which again, the thing that's funny about time and about history is how cyclical it is. And again, it's just it literally makes my stomach hurt how prescient this is and how things have just come back around again.
For sure. There is
Yeah.
So there is a lot of. I think I might save this without getting too spoilery. This will come up in the next episode. But there is like a lot of cameos in this this parade scene here. There's, just to name a few. There's Tap Out. There's Beachcomber. There's Red Alert. There's the Auto Trooper, which I think is a cool design. It's sort of a play on the Cybertronian Ratchet. They actually made a toy of it. I was kind of psyched to see that. There's a shot of Farao, which is the like Cybertronian bumblebee, but it's the Brazilian word for ferret. Portuguese word for ferret. I really went down a rabbit hole on this character because I've always been really obsessed with Cybertronian like G1 Cybertronian bumblebee. And so that character has always kind of stuck out for me. But we'll get into some of that later as it's going to come up in the next episode. Hint, hint, wink, wink.
Oh, spoiler alert. Well, shit. Fine. I guess I will skip the question and answer of like, who did you see and who could you identify without help? But fuck it, I'm going to do it anyway, and maybe we'll come back to it. For my eye as it was happening, I could see Mainframe, Warpath. And the inclusion of Beachcomber kind of threw me off because getting into cursed secret knowledge that I'm not supposed to have awareness of. I don't think Beachcomber is supposed to be here at this time. So maybe we may have to unpack that when we get on the other side of this, because I still have not engaged with that deleted scenes content, but I know how the fandom reacted to it. And the fandom does not like Beachcomber, apparently, which is funny to say refracted through the lens of like a post Skybound thing, because I think Beachcomber is back on the come up, but no love for animated Beachcomber, but we'll come back to that. I also saw a Wheeljack. I saw a Trax. I saw a real Mario looking Huffer looking motherfucker.
Oh,
who I thought was just fan art, by the way. Like I've been seeing those Mario and Luigi as Huffer for years. And again, once another, I'm like, are those dipshits there in the almanac? I don't know. I also saw Rosanna, the pink Autobot cassette.
Sure.
I was able to suss out her design.
Oh, that's a great eye. I didn't actually pick up. Part of the reason I wanted to breeze over this, I didn't pick out any. I had to go to the wiki for all of them. So good eye on you.
Yeah, I mean, because like she stands out. Like she's a certain shade of like pastel Easter pink, and just kind of stands out. But also lastly, and again, as you said, Michael Andrews, we could litigate some of this stuff. But you do see Cosmos. Cosmos is in the back next to Trax, and having just read the Toymaker and the Bots, it's kind of cool to see both Cybertronian mode Cosmos, who is, I don't know what his alt mode is, but he's got like Enterprise style nacelles on his back.
Yeah.
So he kind of looks like Fortress Tiberius, kind of like the Star Trek Enterprise Fortress Maximus mashup character. Yeah. But anyway, so I saw that, but whereas we very much have the Earth mode Cosmos in the Toymaker and the Bots here. So, but anyway, so
that design is so cool. I love animated Cosmos. Like, it's such a cool take on that character. You can tell that was definitely like designed with love take on him.
Very much so. So that's I guess that was as much as I wanted to litigate that for now. We again, we can come back to that in the future. Sorry, I'm stumbling because I didn't realize we were going to come back to it, and I thought we would just talk about it in Mike's G1 score segment, but that's fine.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you more why. It's kind of weird, but I can't do it without getting into spoilers for the next one.
Got it. Other than shut up about people in the parade. Well, we could talk about people in the parade later, to where I say, okay, but I guess what I should have done is just said that I saw Cosmos, and maybe also said that I saw Rosanna, that kind of thing. Or that I saw Auto Rooper, for all of you Kiss Players fans out there. It's like, no, Auto Trooper is an animated character. That's not where he comes from, friends. Sorry.
Oh, that's news to me. Yuck. Okay.
It's true, though. Because basically, Auto Rooper is a redeco of Alternator's Meister, which is Jazz, and basically has this generic trooper head. And so secretly, like, I know too much about Kiss Players, unfortunately, because they are all redecos of Alternators in Binaltech. Which is
right.
One of like the lines that I got into. So I'm looking for like variants and stuff. And I'm like, what is this? And then I click, I'm like, oh God, go back. And I'm like, I'm probably still on a watch list in some territories just for trying to figure out where that particular deco of Hot Rodimus comes from. It turns out, oh no.
Mike Seibert plays his own version of Kiss Players with his private alternators collection each night before bed.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible. So much phrasing.
It is terrible.
All right.
Sorry.
All right. So with that, we must move on. We must.
Yes.
All right. So that's the discussion. That is the end of the episode. And I guess from there, let's do some scoring.
Yeah.
And
I love scoring.
Yeah, you do. So I guess, Michael Andrews, would you like to kick us off with some Con Air scoring? Have you been like keeping tracks on your ticker as you go?
Yeah, I'm really torn on this one because I feel like we're almost at a 50-50 moment. Like there is a lot of direct references. They're kind of a slant reference to them. But there is enough there, but the thing that bugs me is there's no like direct correlation between characters. Like I can't, other than Swindle being Cyrus the Virus, I can't point to anybody else and be like, that's Nicolas Cage. Like that's John Cusack. Right. It's a little bit of slant there. So I would probably lean at kind of a 6.5. I think it's doing a little bit more work than 50-50, but not by much.
Gotcha. Well, and I think with that, we'll with Mike's G1 score, this one will also be high. In honor of Con Air, I give this one a 9.7.
All right.
Well, because you could get a perfect 10 just from the crowd scene. You know what I mean? It's like you could just go 1, 2, 3 and then stop at 10. But you've also got the proper helmets for the Seekers. Like you have a very G1 looking Starscream for Sunstorm, and obviously the cone head for Ratchet, which I love, is now a drill head and not just like a cone head for for funsies. And yeah, you can fold in the Con Air stuff. Well, and I would I see now, Michael Andrews, that you've brought up this crowd legislation. I feel like I have a joke for later, but I'm going to make it now just in case the context doesn't catch up with me. Do you know who's missing from the crowd?
Who?
Mike's favorite new character, Sky Gary.
Oh, Sky Gary.
The sky.
Sky Gary in the world of tomorrow.
Yes, exactly. Oh my goodness. Sky Commanders with Sky Gary. You get that gritty reboot of Sky High starring Sky Gary. You get a Kurt Russell as Sky Gary.
There's no end to references here. It's
just his name. He's just Gary. But also I found, I think it was like on Comic Book Resources or something like that. It was like coincidentally, like again, Dr. Google is always listening to me when we record, because like in my Facebook feed, I got something that said something like the most obscure Transformers characters, and it's like number 7 will surprise you. Sure as shit, you scroll through number 7. Sky Gary has a weird name.
Oh come on, right? It's like right there.
But back to my G1 score, you get a Grandis, and Grandis along with like Star Convoy and of course Sky Gary, part of the whole Return of Convoy. And apparently the grandest representation here is the Brave Redeco, which I don't know what that is. I barely know what Return of Convoy is. All I know is Star Convoy, and all I know is that for the Age of the Primes Commander class figure, they just call him Star Optimus, which is super stupid. Just call him Star Convoy because that's such a cooler name.
Yeah, I'll be honest. The Return of Convoy stuff was news to me. Like, as much as I am into the Master Force and Zone, and I'm up on those, total blind spot for me.
Yeah, me too. I literally know nothing about that. I just know it by name. Like, it's weird because like there are characters that I know, like Metro Titan and Grandis and Star Convoy. But with that, there's also blind spots. Like when we were talking about Sky Gary, I had no idea who the hell that was. And I even said like that's made up. And like half of the names that you named off in the parade, it's like, no, we're just making up names. These are just fan names, that kind of thing. So, But anyway, that is Mike's G1 score.
Right. We got through it.
Exactly. So I know
we didn't get through it. Hold on. I wanted to bring up one more thing too. I wondered if this played into your G1 score at all. But Swindle's 3 claims is that he had business dealings on Quintessa. He puts it that the Elite Guard parts could have him retire to a beach on Nebulos, and swears by the 5th moon of Pizzazz. These are all G1 references. So I thought that was everything he says is pretty much a G1 reference in this.
Exactly. I was not comfortable giving a G1 score that exceeded 10. Like, I think I've tried that shit before, and you're like, nah, dude, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. So you add your rules to my scoring rubric, and so then I just split the difference, and I go for a 9.7 in deference to Con Air. Yeah, I figured that's the way to go. But yeah,
I mean, we both agree it should be high, though. I mean, it's up there.
Yes, so it's high. It's very high. Yes.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, I do. I know we're running a little long, but I want to briefly dip into the mailbag.
The mail's here.
Because if we don't, I will lose this thread forever, and I think it's fun to bring up. So I've been corresponding with my buddy Anthony Brucali, TFU.info, the owner-operated madman behind TFU.info and the website and the toy archive and host of Transformers University podcast. My good friend, way back. Seemingly a lifetime ago, when we recorded with APDC and we did Where's Thy Sting, we talked a lot about the Ninja Gladiator video game. And we talked a lot about like what the tie-ins are. And we talked about Snake Eyes, and we talked about the insect guy. And, he was like a guy from Micronauts. And Anthony had said, well, that has a tie to the UK comics. The Marvel UK comics. And I was like, what the heck are you talking about? And I listened to that episode of Transformers University, and I still didn't get it because he starts talking about this character called Hideous Giant Brain Guy, who is like a random goon in this one episode of the Marvel UK comic. He's got like he's hideous, and he's a giant brain guy, and he's got like a giant Decepticon symbol on his head. And we had speculated that, well, maybe the insect guy makes it into the video game. No. Apparently, hideous brain guy, giant brain guy, is included in the Allspark Almanac. And Michael Andrews, you had tracked this down, and apparently in the Almanac he is referred to HGBG. The acronym. And you had sent me you had taken a picture of it. Nobody knows where HGBG came from, but there's nothing he likes better than a good fight! ! He's got a glass jaw, but his ego whip, and it gives you the blood code to be able to do this special move, is a potent disincentive for them to get in too close to him. So he's not, where the confusion was, is we thought he was on screen in the episode. No, he was included in the almanac. So I just kind of wanted to square that up before we got too much further, because this was weeks offline.
This is a long mystery. Yeah, we've been pulling the thread of the sweater for a while.
So I just, I'm seeing that we're running out of runway. We're running out of episodes, and I had to make sure and square that up.
We're going to have to land on the strip.
There it is, exactly. But also, Michael Anders, we had talked a lot about the Arrival, those comics. And, we had mentioned in our previous episode what issue 6 was, the pack-in comic. But Anthony sent me some more history about the Safeguard pack-in comic and also the Arrival in general. He said no other animated figures had pack-in comics that I remember. Apparently, the Arrival was canceled before issue 6 was released, and it was included in the trade paperback. Safeguard was unique because it was a 2-pack and at its own price point. So it was its own case assortment. The other 2-packs were Target exclusive, if I remember correctly. He also forwarded me an excerpt from the TF Wiki. Although the Arrival was released during the break between the second and third seasons of Transformers Animated, drawing on plot details established by that point, the stories mostly take place during or in a couple cases before the events of the show's first season, often fleshing out off-screen events which were only alluded to in the show itself. After the opening issue, which retells the pilot movie from different perspectives, each of the issues 2 through 5 contains 2 short stories each. Issue 6, an origin story for Jetfire and Jetstorm, as we've litigated here, was included in the Safeguard 2-pack, but it was originally solicited as an individual release that was canceled. So it's fascinating talking about comic books and what is and isn't canon. Like, we could maybe have that discussion a different day, but do you take the Arrival comic books as canon because they were written by Marty Eisenberg? And now, do you take this new stuff, like the Key and Carlisle stuff that is written by Marty Eisenberg, stuff like the Headmaster Levels Up, and now the Toymaker and the Bots? It's like, at a time where there's no new Transformers animated fiction, is there any reason for us to not take fan created projects like this as canon? The world can decide.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I think the fact that it's created by Marty Eisenberg lends a lot to it. And even if it is done as sort of a quote unquote fan creation after the fact, I can already tell that it's been written as carefully as anything that fits into the proper canon of Transformers Animated. So I'm sure he took that level of care with it. So even if it's not true canon, I'm sure it fits right in.
Right, exactly. And it kind of reminds me of other types of legends, stories, we'll say, for lack of a better word. Like, I think Star Trek novels are better at this than Star Wars novels because since Star Trek is so episodic, they're just episodes. It's just an episode of the show. And I think with these new fan projects being spearheaded by Key and Carlisle, with Marty Eisenberg being fully on board, even writing the stories, that he knows kind of how to put these in a way that's not contradictory. And it makes me want to revisit the Arrival, because I think I remember picking up an issue way back in the day, because I had decided not to watch the cartoon, but I was off put because I think it was just an adaptation of the 3-part movie, Transform and Roll Out, and I'm like, I don't need this, sure. But I didn't know that it was from different points of view. So now I especially want to go back and read that and maybe talk about it even more in on a future episode of the podcast. But that's just kind of, some comic book legislation that I wanted to introduce into evidence before we got out of here.
No, that's really interesting. Thank you.
And again, I'll have links in the show notes, but do please, if you are a fan of this stuff, check out Key and Carlisle's fan comics, because it is the legit real deal. And My challenge to you is try to get through the toy maker and the bots without rolling a tear. I bet you can't, because I did not. So
I'm going to be a mess then, because I cry at everything now.
Yeah, whereas like I didn't even cry when the Wolverine died, that kind of thing. So like that's how hard I am. But anyway, like so our time is running out. We like I said, we're going over a little bit, but it is time, my friend, for me to run across the room and dim the lights. Reverently, gently, and respectfully, of course, we're going to dim the lights, because it is time for Ichabod Drift's favorite segment of the show. It is the Michael Andrews preview, haiku a preku, if you will, preview of our next episode.
Thank you. Yeah, no cop-outs here. We're doing a real one. A transwarp snafu. Unlikely pair gets closure. Maximum grumpy.
Amazing. And there may or may not be the return of a fan favorite guest as well.
Dun dun dun.
And that'll be a lot of fun. Just based on the title alone and the pedigree of what I think this episode might be, I think that is going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited about the prospect of that. And but again, also the cold splash of reality, in that will be our last stop before the epic 2-part finale, and that's I'm not ready.
I just looked up like the episode list, like Googled it, and I was like, oh my god, it's here! It's really happening.
Absolutely. So on that note, have a terrific rest of your day, and and of course, as always, make good choices and eat some pizza and all that other fun stuff. Michael Andrews, I love that we've landed on this latter-day pizza legislation credit segment that we seems to have done with our guests. Do you have any new pizza legislation to report?
I actually do a little bit.
Want to be a part of the show? Send us an email to mikes2furious@gmail.com. You can also comment on episodes on Spotify and on YouTube. Follow us on Blue Sky individually at Mike Seibert Radio and at Michael Andrews, respectively, and follow the podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at 2Mikes2Furious.
I saw a documentary, so I am taking a little break from dairy.
Okay.
So I have not had a traditional pizza, but I have been making my own like plant-based pizza and cheese to put on a pizza. Have you seen, Mike, anywhere? Like, have you seen the Miyoko's Creamery liquid plant-based pizza cheese? It pours on. It looks like you're pouring a glass of milk onto your pizza, and then it actually coagulates into a very fulfilling mozzarella. Have you seen this at all?
I have never seen this before.
So in this documentary, they actually talked to the creator of it, and they have her food scientist on there. They went through several iterations of it, and they realized the problem is people are trying to make plant-based shredded cheese that looks like shredded cheese, so you can sprinkle it on your pizza, but that isn't exactly how it works. So it doesn't. When it goes in the oven, it's not melting. So that's when they figured out, let's start it as a liquid. It'll be weird, but it's going to turn out more like what you expect cheese to turn into. And so someone on Instagram has a way to make it, and I followed the recipe, and it's tapioca starch and olive oil, basically, and lemon juice and salt. And then you just kind of shake it up and pour it on, and it's crazy. It looks so much like real mozzarella on a pizza.
That's interesting. I will take a look at that for curiosity's sake, for sure. And that ironically enough, that throws a cold splash of water on the segment I was going to introduce here. I was like, hey, Michael Andrews, I have the menu for this pizza joint I'm going to go through. Let's take a look at the menu together, and you help me pick a pizza. This is a true ass story. After I'm done recording, I am going to go to Big Mario's Pizza in Queen Anne here in Seattle, not far away from my studio where I'm recording. Best good buddy of mine, Chandler, he and I have been there ourselves. We went there after a laser show. We saw Laser Rage Against the Machine, and we went to Big Mario's Pizza pizza. Had a couple slices, and it was awesome. and it was delightful. And it's an ally bar, so I'm happy. But like there's pride flags everywhere, and it's
sure.
It's great vibes, good pizza, good folks. But anyway, I was initially going to like read off some of their specials and see if there was anything that enticed Michael Andrews. But
no, first of all, I still want that to happen. That would be great. Second of all, it's like sort of more of a guideline than a rule. Like I'm not going to not have pizza ever again because of this. So don't get me wrong there.
Gotcha.
In fact, kind of part 2 of that story is that I met up with some friends at a really cool pizza place here in town called, it's actually a brewery / pizza place. Really cool. But their whole thing is that, they're really like pork heavy pizzas. So it's already hard for me to find a pizza there under normal times. Yeah. And so at the last second, I decided I wasn't going to cheat on my cheese thing. I was going to just order this really delicious hummus platter they have there. Totally blanked on the fact that there was feta cheese all over it and got several bites in. And I was like, fuck, now I'm eating a hummus platter instead of a real pizza. And I blew it and had cheese anyway.
Oh, no.
Ultimate irony.
Oh, that's sad, buddy.
Cruel fate. Cruel
fate. Exactly. It's like, why must you do this? But anyway, so I've shared my screen with Michael Andrews as we're going through the menu for Big Mario's New York style pizza. You got the Mai Tai, which is fresh cut pineapple, Italian ham, mozzarella, and red sauce. I also have the Umberto Classic, which includes salami, arugula, balsamic, mozzarella, and red sauce. That sounds really good. The no-go for Michael Andrews for sure. The Flying Pig. This may as well be a burning cross to keep away from Michael Andrews. It has Italian ham, spicy Coppa Alps, mozzarella, red sauce topped with arugula. Chandler's favorite, the one he got, was the Macho Man. That's pepperoni, salami, sausage, mozzarella, and red sauce. The Midnight Rambler is Italian ham, pepperoncinis, arugula, gorgonzola, mozzarella, and red sauce. That sounds really good.
These are great names, by the way.
Yeah, I have had this pizza. I had a slice of it last time I was there. The pear gorgonzola. This has roasted pear. I said that right. The fruit, the apple adjacent fruit, roasted pear, caramelized onions, gorgonzola, mozzarella, and red sauce. That's
yum.
I mean, you want to talk about like the salty, savory, sweet combination of a Hawaiian. Give a pear gorgonzola a shot. That's really good. You also have the White Hook, which is sun-dried tomatoes, basil, parmigiano, ricotta, ground black pepper, minced garlic, mozzarella, and olive oil. That is a garlic lover's pizza. It's very, very good.
Can confirm ricotta on pizza is delightful.
A couple more here. The potato pesto, thin sliced rosemary potatoes, house-made pesto, mozzarella, and red sauce.
I had to self-mute my moan on that one. That one looks good.
I never would have thought to have potatoes on a pizza.
That's kind of big here in Minnesota, probably obvious now that you hear it. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of
yeah. That actually kind of makes sense. And lastly, for today's legislation, the Williamsburg, which is rosemary potatoes, mushrooms, pepperoncinis, goat cheese, mozzarella, and red sauce.
Baby.
And there's a whole other column that I'll read on a different day. But yeah, all of those look really good. Interestingly enough, based on our last conversation, I'm kind of in the mood to mess around with the white sauce pizza, just based off of curiosity. Because like the only white sauce pizza I've ever messed with is like a bacon ranch type of thing, where it's got bacon crumbles and like bits of chicken, and they call it like a chicken ranch club type of thing. That's the only time I've had a white sauce pizza. So.
Well, yeah, definitely experiment with it. And then, not to blow your mind too much, but when I used to work at a restaurant, my chef and I would make pizzas for ourselves, and we discovered that if you blend half and half marinara with white sauce, it creates like a third type of sauce that is the best.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh man, Oh man, well that sounds like experimentation station. So I will
food experimentation episode.
Yeah, I will adjourn to the to the pub and make my decision, and I will report back on what we ended up doing. So.
Yeah, send pics, please. I don't want, just send me some spicy pizza pics if you can.
Spicy pizza. And keeping in mind, this is the bar that has they don't have wired in TVs. They have like an old tube TV with the TV VCR combo, and they only show movies on VHS tape.
Oh, that's really cool. I don't know if this is interesting to you all, but we have there's this place in Minneapolis that it's like a bar, and it's a retro video game bar. So each booth has like actual like a Nintendo system and a TV hooked up to it, and then the menu is like you order video games, and they come around with a little tray of like Mario Brothers or Duck Hunt or something on the tray, and you plug it in and play it on these old timey TVs. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that.
It was the first place I went to after COVID, after literally being inside my house for a year. That was the first thing I did kind of when I got vaccinated, and we thought the vaccine worked a lot better than it did. I went out to that pub.
Oh, wow. How about that? All right. Well, I think I'm going to hit end recording here.